Delta Force is coming to consoles on August 19th. And we are incredibly excited to welcome players to the latest installment of the legendary shooter franchise.
Players can expect two highly dynamic and action-packed modes in Delta Force Warfare and Operations. Warfare is our tribute to previous Delta Force titles, offering players a dynamic roster of maps to enjoy all-out war experiences with vehicle play and counter, infantry combat, and more. Operations puts the player in the boots of an elite Delta Force in a modern extraction shooter game. Players can play solo or team up while experiencing its thrilling PvE moments. We're also bringing the faithfully rebooted Black Hawk Down campaign to console gamers in the format of free DLC to relive the 1993 battle.
Here at Virtuos, we worked closely with Team Jade to materialize their vision of Delta Force on consoles. Being a highly dynamic shooter game, frame rate consistency is extremely important for Delta Force. And we have spent tons of efforts to ensure that the game enjoys a stable 60 frames per second, with almost no frame rate drops. With adaptive trigger support, every shot in the game will feel even more impactful, satisfying, giving players an even more immersive experience. We also gave Xbox Series S some additional love, so despite its highly portable size, Series S players will also get the same frame rate treatment.
To ensure a smooth and enjoyable experience for console players, we've completely overhauled Delta Force's interface. We added focus-based navigation and quick access buttons, so players can easily perform all frequent in-game actions. For Operations, we also introduced auto-inventory sorting when bleeding, making the experience much more convenient.
As for input, we created a fully remappable control system with multiple presets, added sensitivity and dead zone settings, and fine-tuned haptics for weapons, vehicles, and abilities. All of this is designed to ensure the controls feel smooth and intuitive, giving players a great gameplay experience.
We can't wait for console players around the world to jump in and experience everything Delta Force has to offer. Grab your controller, squad up, and play for free on August 19th.
And they have infested the very core of our society. We must drive these rats out. Now is the time for change. Now is the time for judgment.
Let me detect first.
The asylum! From madness to freedom!
Stay on high alert. Don't let Havoc's lackeys escape.
Greetings, operators. Welcome to the Delta Force Break Season's mid-season update. Get ready to feel the beat. The Delta Force Alan Walker collab event is about to kick off. Mark your calendars for August 8th. Operators can visit the Delta Force official website, go to the Service Center tab, and enter the Redemption Center page. Enter the CD key to claim the PTR 32 Old Habits weapon appearance, as well as 8 armament vouchers. Starting August 9th, operators can also easily obtain it by jumping into activities on Twitch drops and other community platforms. From August 8th to September 22nd, we're rolling out the Double Beats Pass. Play Delta Force Operations Mode or rack up Warfare matches to earn awesome Alan Walker collab rewards for free. This includes the epic firearm appearance, QJB 201 Old Habits, and 40 armament vouchers. On August 8th, 3 legendary weapon appearance bundles will drop: Fur Trapper, Order Up, and Alternating Current. Once the event goes live, new missions will pop up every 11 days. Complete a set of missions and you can pick one of these bundles for free, up to 2 bundles total. From August 8th to August 21st, every hazard operation match will have a 100% drop rate for 2 collab airdrop crates. Crack them open for a shot at surprise treasure maps. Complete the related event missions to claim 10 armament vouchers. Don't forget about Warfare. New challenge missions will refresh weekly, offering a ton of rewards, including the epic vehicle appearance, Tank Blaze. From August 8th to August 14th, your weekly supplies for hazard operations are getting a major boost. They'll be doubled. That means you can earn a total of 6 standard gear tickets and 2 elite gear tickets. As for Warfare's weekly supplies, the first phase is loaded with goodies. You'll get 2 premium weapon EXP tokens, 4 intermediate weapon EXP tokens, and 4 Warfare 2X EXP cards, 1 match. But wait, there's more. Log in daily from August 8th to August 10th to claim an extra 4 2X merit cards, 1 match each day. Don't miss out. This is your chance to climb those ranks faster. Get ready. The KC-17 assault rifle is almost here. You'll be able to unlock its use and production by completing missions in the upcoming new weapon launch event. This August, get ready for the treasure hunt event. Grab your treasure maps and prepare to dig for some serious loot. Once the event kicks off, you'll have a chance to find treasure maps for your current location while searching in hazard operations. Just follow the map's clues to unearth treasures and claim your rewards. During the treasure hunt event, make sure to log in daily to claim a lucky pack. Here's hoping you pull some fantastic red items and enjoy a streak of good luck. This season is already halfway over, but the second half has more to offer. First up, new Arknights collab content will drop after the update. The treasure store is getting a refresh too, with rewards like the weapon appearance M4A1 Amiya, which you can obtain by exchanging LMD earned from event participation. Following that, on August 15th, the Penguin Logistics Supplies event launches. Play both modes to rack up milestone points and exchange them for armament vouchers, LMD, spray paint, calling cards, charm Amiya, and a host of other rewards. From August 8th to September 6th, dive into special event missions to unlock collab puzzle pieces. Collect them to earn a variety of awesome collab rewards. And here's some exciting news. Delta Force is hitting console platforms on August 19th. To mark this huge milestone, we're rolling out even more perks. With the console launch, operators can unlock the Skynet series, console-exclusive weapon appearances, by participating in special events. Log in during the event period, and you'll also be able to unlock previously released operators to ensure they don't fall behind. New recruit supplies are also available exclusively on console, offering limited edition appearances and a generous amount of growth items to help you gear up fast and dive into the action. Simply log in on your console platform to claim an exclusive weapon appearance, no strings attached. And don't miss out on our console membership rewards. PlayStation Plus and Xbox Perks players will enjoy even more bonuses. Plus, the Shiba Force Lucky Draw also drops in-game. This Lucky Draw offers 3 firearm appearances, along with charms, avatars, calling cards, and other cool personalization items. You'll be able to earn them by participating in Lucky Draws. That wraps up the main mid-season update content for the break season. Have a blast, operators.
Some fear the storm. Others stand aside. But I choose to become the storm.
Warning, liquid nitrogen fill complete.
Some people want to run rampant, looting in Asara. But my forces will make sure they don't come back. We'll settle the score. Asara is ours.
Good morning or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome into the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers. This is our EU Regional Finals, folks. Top 2 teams today make it to LAN in China for $500,000. I'm Coach. I'm really excited to be here. Today is going to be an absolute blast, and we got to bring back in Spider Tiff to call all the action with me. Tiff, it is great to have you back here in the booth with me. We had a ton of fun in semifinals. I was actually watching from the sidelines. I was away, and Vivid crushed it. But Tiff, how you feeling about today for the finals?
Look, I get to step back and let you kind of do all the leading. No, it was an absolute blast working with Vivid last week, and we got to break down so much action and just getting a lot of his analytical behind the scenes, breaking down some of those fights, especially with how important they are going to be, because like you said, we're going to China, or at least, you know, some of our teams are.
Yes, some of our teams are. Good grief. This is so exciting to have a competition of this stakes, of this magnitude, at this level, after all these qualifiers. Good grief. All right, let's talk about it. Let's see how everybody got here, where they're going to go from here. It's been a really fun Delta Force Invitational across the board. And we started in open qualifiers. So we had teams registering from this European region. We also have North America. That's later today. The 12 teams that register and then qualified through open quals made it to regional semifinals. That was last week. You and Vivid, great cast, great games. I saw MandelBrick get stolen like 15 times in one game. It was nuts. So those 12 teams were divided into 2 groups. Then the top 3 teams from regional finals, semifinals, make regional finals. 1 team from Group A, 1 team from Group B, and then the next highest overall. So those are the 3 teams that are making it from the semifinals to today. And then the question is, who are the other 3 teams? Well, we have 3 invited. I'm going to put invited in quotation marks because they technically did earn their spot, all right? We have our winner from the Delta Force Global League Season 0, our winner from the Delta Force Global League Season 1 and 2. We'll talk about them in a second. And our winner from DFEI. Those are our other 3 teams for a total of 6, all playing for the top 2 spots to qualify for the Delta Force Invitational. LAN in September in China, playing for $500,000 against teams from 8 different regions. Insane format. I love it, and I am so excited we are finally here for regional finals. So let's talk a little bit about the match rules. If you're maybe just tuning in for the very first time, you haven't seen any of these qualifiers or any of the other operations events that we've done, this is how it works. Tiff, we've had a lot of fun with this brand new format, and to start, of course, all these players are given money, but I want you to walk me through this graphic because I think the key thing for people to remember at home is that this is going to play more similar to pubs. You lose your stuff if you die.
Yeah, and I think that's super fun, right? Because we are going to have some of those rounds, as you see in that bottom center. It says rounds 1 and 3. Those are going to have airdrops. There will not be MandelBricks on the map. Those are only going to be occurring in 2, 4, 5, and 6. So the latter half of the series, and of course, once in the first 3 games. Now, the cool part about this is with the double brick format, you can end it in 4 games. You can just completely shut people down. Those operators can only be used twice. Now, I say kind of all of that, but if you lose your stuff in the first game on an airdrop round, when you really should be kind of bolstering the amount of Technic alloy you have so you can kind of build the best loadout and come in with some decent gear, right? You want to make sure that you can take those fights and hold off on the defensive side of things when we get into those later MandelBrick rounds.
Yes, such a great shot. A really unique format. I love this one. We're going to be ranking teams based on the MandelBricks they pick up, then total loot value. That's how it's all going to work, and we'll continue to talk about the minutia. But we are playing for a bit of cash today. Our top 6 teams, that's everybody that made it to the stage, will be walking away with something. $4,000, though, for the team at the top. And, of course, an invite to the LAN in China for the Delta Force Invitational. $4,000 is nice. That LAN ticket is even nicer, but second place, the same, $3,000, and then third all the way down. Still making a bit of cash, but the majority of our prize pool here at the top of our leaderboard. So top 2 making good cash and getting their tickets to LAN. We got to talk about some of these teams here, Tiff, because this competition is star-studded lineups, frankly. I mean, we've had an opportunity. I mean, between the 2 of us, we've casted over every single one of the competitions these teams came from, all of the qualifiers, all of the invited teams competitions they made it here from. There's some really, really strong rosters, and I think we're going to see the best operations we've ever seen in Delta Force esports history today, right now, because of these 6 teams. So, Tiff, I want you to walk me through some of these teams, what you expect from them, and maybe your favorites going into this competition.
Dare I say that I'm very, very excited. Now, if you run it back, and you guys were here with us last weekend during the semis, and here's the deal. You saw some of these teams. There was an entire lobby that was happening off screen because we followed Group A on broadcast. Group B was off broadcast. So MandelBrick Addiction. If you don't know this name, please get familiar, because of course in the double brick format, if you're coming in naming yourself MandelBrick Addiction, you're coming in with a job that you are looking to lock it in. Hailing from Group B last week, and this team locked it down in 4 games, got the MandelBrick both times it was dropped, ended the tournament early, and still outlooted the majority of all of our teams that were in the semi-regional finals for the EU region, which you're witnessing here today. Fallen, they're going to hail from Group A. Now, let me just tell you, Goj, they had some insane plays to make it happen. I'm talking HR cross-map going crazy. But it's to be said that Flarich and ProRock were also equally as impressive. Their utilization on the different operators and the way that they can just kind of flow is great. Here's the deal though. I didn't even mention Les Gérants de la Teste. They hail from that Delta Force Global League. They're so impressive, but I just think that when you kind of see them all together and some of the plays that we witnessed from the semis here on screen right now, these are what you're going to be contending with. Just some of the craziest jump peaks, people full sending. We saw Suniva shield bashes in, and honestly, more Suniva gameplay than I thought we would witness in a long time.
Yeah, it's super valuable to be able to utilize all of your operators. Nice shots. This Fallen team, like you had mentioned, again, it was a really fun time just listening back to y'all's cast. It was weird not being on the desk with you. I was out of town, and Vivid just crushed the cast with you, both of you working really well together. But in semifinals here, Fallen doing the most. I mean, really strong team, a team that absolutely walks into the finals today with, frankly, a target on their back. I mean, winning a semifinals like this, everybody knows they're one of the top teams. They had great chemistry, played together really well, obviously picked up some nice shots as well. But at the end of the day, it was just a matter of execution, and they were able to do it better than anyone else in semifinals A. And like you mentioned, in semifinals B, you know, MandelBrick Addiction is the other team to watch out for. The two teams that came from the top of the leaderboards from their respective semifinals have got to be two of my favorites. But if we can, I'd like to go back to that team's graphic, because we've got some more teams to highlight before we get into the game. And I think notably a couple of our invited teams, I had mentioned where they came from. One, on the top left of your screen, No Game, No Life. You might say, who the heck are these guys? Well, they came from the original Delta Force Global League Season 0. Before we even fully had our seasons broken out, Season 1, Season 2, their winners, like you had mentioned, Les Gérants de la Teste. I'm never going to say that right because I'm not French. You've got that, but they're a really strong team. No Game, No Life won before them in Season 0. So watch out for that team. These are the OGs of the original Operations Esports. And then bottom right, YJK, they were third overall in the semifinals. They were able to make it here. Paris, aka Team Stickinson, they're in top middle. They're the team that won the Delta Force Elite Invitational we did a couple weeks ago, if you paid attention to that show. So that's where all these teams came from. But technically our Frenchman, top right, I mean, Tiff, I want you to talk to me about this team again, because we've got some highlights from them. They not only won Delta Force Global League Season 2, which would have given them an invite to the stage, but they also won the game before that.
Yeah, they definitely did. I feel like we need to run it back, and we're going to have a moment where we kind of work through their team name, but we'll let you have that for right now, because
I'll get it eventually.
It was some of the nastiest plays that we saw when it came to decoding a MandelBrick, and a lot of that started at the very first time. Remember when they were kind of over by camp on Brakkesh, and we first see the MandelBrick come into play, and everyone's just going through it out in the open? Well, then you think back towards later, right? We see it kind of being decoded inside this parking garage warehouse structure right here, actually. And Zapok on Viren just uses that dynamic propulsion and just keeps that movement rolling, and is so insanely aggressive. They withheld from, I believe, 3 different teams looking to steal the MandelBrick for them before, you know, they got decoded and inevitably fell down, but they got the objective taken care of, and it was insane.
Yeah, this was unbelievable. This final moment, of course, secured them the victory. They were able to get their second MandelBrick, 1-4. I mean, they were unstoppable, easily the best team on the map. And again, they went back-to-back. They won Delta Force Global League Season 1 and Season 2, double earning their spots to this competition, and of course, winning those competitions. Absolutely a team to watch out for, and a team that can take it all. But all of these teams, we could say the same for. I think a lot of these teams have been scrimming on the side as well. They've been practicing for this moment. Like I told you, this could be the best operations we've ever seen in Delta Force Esports history. And I'll probably say the same again for North America, but I don't know. EU has been a banger, and I'm just really excited to see the top level of competition for the likes that we've never seen. We've never seen a competition that has this many qualified teams that all work their way to the stage from different areas, different angles, different competitions. I don't know. I'm really, really pumped here, Tiff. And I don't know who's going to take it. I think the first map will set the tone for how fast we'll be playing, especially in the non-MandelBrick rounds. But yeah, I'm really pumped about this one.
You know, I am too, and I think talking about the teams and kind of seeing the storylines going up until we hit LAN in China, competing for $500,000, all of that is just pure insanity, right? But if you kind of step it back, there was something that you mentioned while we pull up the maps to kind of see our journey throughout the day, is you were talking about the scrims that our teams were playing in, right? World scrims. Were there any teams that you might have kind of seen that are maybe ones to watch that are people are like, I'm actually nervous going up against them as we look towards, you know, Zero Dam?
Yeah, I think to start things off, again, it's going to set the tone. We are starting 0 dam in match 1. And for the folks at home that maybe haven't watched these broadcasts, we just explained it a moment ago. There will be MandelBricks available. You can see them on your screen in maps 2, 4, 5, and 6, not 1s and 3s. And so the first map and the third map will not have a MandelBrick on them, but it does allow our teams to rack up their loot value, Tiff. And you were asking about scrims, and I think this is a great question because we have a lot of big competitions with some invited teams or qualified teams, people trying to figure out this mode. They've been running scrims with the whole people, all of the people trying to qualify for Worlds. So that's everybody from North America and EU. And the team that's won the most scrims out of everybody between both regions is MandelBrick Addiction, who is going to be that team that won Group B that wasn't on our main broadcast last week. Absolutely got to be a front runner in my mind if you're also winning off ping against some North America folks. I'm super pumped to see what that team's able to execute on during this game. But because there's been scrims, there's been so many competitions, people have been able to VOD review. So anything can happen. You can learn how these other teams play. We've got a lot of experience. This is going to be super sweaty. We're starting on 0 dam. No MandelBrick. It's all about the loot.
I love if you're going to bring it down and just show us right off the rip. Now, mind you, this is a 16-minute map timer, so it's going to have to work incredibly quick. But you saw this last week on the main broadcast. This is something that you should be very aware of. So when you look at the spawn points, typically we've been seeing about 2 teams that spawn up near admin and usually get into a contest early on. But we actually aren't going to get that here for our map number 1.
Yeah, this is a huge win here as we take a look at that map. It's a great call out. Paris, aka Team Stickinson, they've got all of admin by themselves. Nobody's even contesting them. Nobody's pushing up at them at all. Everybody playing slow at this point, and they got the nice spawn at admin. So they're going to walk away with, on paper, the best loot. We'll see if that actually comes to pass. But with admin alone for a while, this is going to be a little bit of a slower start. And as of right now, it looks like maybe our first fights will come on the left side of your screen, pending how these teams rotate out of cement, through cement, or up into barracks. It looks like it does look Stickinson able to find a gold bar. It's a nice little 330k or so.
Nice. Ooh, okay, good. At least we're kind of checking in to see where they were able to find that. Of course, if you've got admin all to yourself, you're going to get all of the goods. So I love that you highlight kind of the eastern side of things, maybe the western as well. Fallen is going to be that team that hailed from Semi-A that performed substantially well. Of course, you've got to keep your eyes on them. But when you've got MandelBrick Addicts, kind of the center of 0 dam, the big threat lurking amongst them. Are they going to look to try and maybe seek out all of the engagements here on map number 1 while you can kind of see, or are we just going to loot up and focus on our gear and then attack everyone once that MandelBrick drops?
Yeah, that's a really good question. 4.1 mil already by Perry. Yeah. Did I see that correctly? I needed an observer to check. Did we miss? Did somebody find a key card, or is that bot and just in their safe box? How are we already at 4.1 mil already? They are cooking already in the map. Another gold bar. Maybe exchanging hands to make sure we can throw these in our safe boxes. Good grief. We are flying through this lobby already. Huge boon to have admin by yourselves, getting a ton of great loot to start. This is going to set Paris up for huge success beginning of this game.
Well, to be fair, I love that we have the beginning of the game finding nice success, but you have to think about getting out of 0 dam. And how many times have we seen our teams get really congested up to that northern extract, right? As soon as that lever gets pulled, but we even had some fun strategies that came out in last week. I don't remember if it was the NA or the EU region. Someone was waiting for other people to pull the freaking lever while they were waiting and then ambushed.
Yeah, I mean, that's the classic strategy. I think there's going to be fights near dam extract, and pulling that lever early can absolutely force some of those, at least force somebody to respond to them. All of a sudden, Paris has jumped to 7. Okay, no, that was overall. That makes way more sense. It scared me on the left-hand side. One thing we'll notice as we're kind of watching this potential fight here in cement, probably going to be a slow one. On the left, you're going to be seeing our leaderboard constantly live updated. Assets obtained is going to be in this match. So 4.6 million already for Paris. The other team's kind of pushing up towards 1 million right now. In GNL, technically in second. That's going to be our Delta Force Global League Season 0. No game, no life team. But I think the thing to remember is that this loot value, what you take out of this map, is going to set you up for success going into the next ones. You could buy your new loot, you could buy better guns, you could buy better armor, etc., etc. let alone the value it gives you on the leaderboard.
All units, airdrops have been deployed all around the map.
Good shouts. All right, so it looks like we're starting to get our first airdrop, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, should have a really nice piece of armor or helmet inside it. But I'm kind of just looking at our operators that we're dropping in with. Of course, I did mention last week we had a ton of Saniva gameplay in those earlier matches, and they proved to be really important to the fact that we were getting 1v1s against Sanivas on teams, which I didn't think I was going to see in my lifetime, but I've really been enjoying it. You also have the D-Wolf and you have the Viren. The Viren early on, I like for the quick looting and just the highly aggressive gameplay, but in terms of most teams, I saw people saving that.
Yeah, I think the operator quandary is a fun one. See, it looks like YJK picked up a nice little 276K item there, USB drive on the right. But yeah, it's a fun conversation because I think there's been varying degrees of strategies of like, hey, we want to use some of our aggressive assault operators in certain rounds. I think the big question is, like you mentioned, Saniva seeing so much value on the map, especially in MandelBrick rounds. So I absolutely think we'll see some folks save the Saniva operators. Again, the team, folks at home, the team can only use certain operators, each operator twice total. That's it. So if you use the same operator, if two of you use the same operator in one round, boom, you can't use that operator for the rest of the entire tourney, which could go up to 6 games. So a lot of strategy on what we're bringing in. But here's our first airdrop. Let's see what our team's able to do. Not only does Paris have the entirety of admin to themselves, but they also have the airdrop to themselves. Talk about some nice value. We get a fossil. Okay, we get some comms radios, 2 of them. Good. Double fossil, double radios, double the fun, and a mantle. We are crushing it right now for Perry. We are being gifted. The RNG gods are saying we want Perry to win map 1. Huge boon for them right now as they're going to be stacking their safe boxes with everything that they can fit, Tiff. But frankly, I don't think it's all going to fit. So wiping Perry here could be a huge boon for some of the other teams.
And is someone going to be able to do that? We expect to see all the fighting towards the end, but we are just putting a big target on our back, having admin, then getting the airdrop. As soon as someone kind of finds maybe one of these players, grabs the loot off them, you're going to be like, this is insane. So making sure that those gold bars, like you see, are in the safe box to preserve them. You got to do it. But I also think that their kind of their compositions interesting, right? Do we see a lot of people using Stinger right off the rip? Not so much. I feel like even Hackclaw kind of lives towards the end of the series. So we're coming out really swinging right now.
We definitely are. I think some of these teams are expecting some earlier engagements in this first map. Traditionally, we've seen our first maps go very quick. Obviously, like you had mentioned at the top of this map, 16-minute timer in total. We already only have 8.5 minutes left. Like, not a lot of time at all. We actually see one member of this NBA team behind. It looks like YGK, and they are down below. I think maybe they had heard some footsteps. They're going to double back, but I'm not going to sniff them out too fast. Here's our second airdrop, by the way. It's going to be on the southeastern-ish side of the map, just underneath Substation. Should see 2 teams potentially contest for that airdrop. There's a lot of value there. Now, look at our French squad. They are in the damn extract already, Tiff. Potentially camping, waiting for somebody to come their way.
I'm telling you, this is a strat that we witnessed, right? So knowing that if you can get there and get in position early, you can withstand all the fights, because typically the next team that goes to get up in that area, there's like these little hallways over towards the right, and it turns into this big choke point where someone's going to essentially sandwich them in, breaks out into a massive brawl, and if you're already there, you're setting yourself up for success. So let's say Perry is the team that gets sandwiched up in there. Guess who's going to take that fight, loot them, and take the majority of their goods that they couldn't fit in the safe box?
MBA is MandelBrick Addiction. They're going to be in blue. They're a team that we absolutely have to watch out for. Perry's total has jumped all the way to 6.6 million. Huge game for them, but they got to get out of the map. In theory, they've got a nice value in their safe box, but probably a couple million that isn't able to fit. Here's that airdrop. This is on the south side of Substation, so MandelBrick Addiction is going to go for this. This could be a huge boon, obviously, for loot value. It does look like our first fight of the competition right here over the airdrop, a big one.
I love how conservative we're being right here as well. YJK still trying to play this kind of sidelines, but at least we have the triple blaster to kind of section things off, and quite frankly, it gets you a knock and an assist, so it is working.
Yeah, this is a huge moment, by the way. If you see those Lapua ammo coming through for MandelBrick Addiction, that's because in that airdrop, there is an AWM and its ammo. A huge one. Be able to take it potentially into a MandelBrick round if you can either use it on this map or save it for the next one. There's plenty of ammo there to do both, but you've got to get out of the map with it. And all of a sudden, it looks like this Fallen Teen's going to get into the piece of the action. Using a Sneva early could give a huge boon for this fight, as all of a sudden, no game, no life, now in a pinch.
Oh, but it's a Sneva, and they've got the shield out, and they want to lurk around here. And this is where we're going to see, I believe, 4 teams kind of collapsing in a nearby area. And if MandelBrick still hasn't been able to get their one player back on up, they have that differential that's going to pinch them and be very difficult to work with. And I love Fallen here being very cautious, right? It's like we could wait for the time to get involved on this, but we don't have a recon operator, so we're just playing off audio cues and seeing if we can catch someone off guard.
Definitely patience. Obviously, MandelBrick Addiction down 1 player is going to be a huge boon for one of these other teams. But frankly, for MandelBrick Addiction, it's a huge boon that we've got Fallen coming in and third partying this, because otherwise they would have been in a really tough spot. Again, on the north side of the map, things are very quiet. Somehow, actually, I know exactly how MandelBrick Addiction's been able to get their revive because of this fight on our screen right now. So it does look like we were a little bit low on ammo for some of these teams.
Came in with just a minimum amount of things and is just planning on looting. And right, you're gearing up to take 1 or 2 fights that you feel confident with, and plus being able to loot those bodies and resupply back on up. But when we're less than 5 minutes on the timer, it's going to get that much more interesting, because this is where we're talking about the extracts, right? Legerant de la Teste, we already have Perry opening things up. This might just be their game, Goj. Not only have they found so many asset value, but they get the opening onto this.
This is a huge fight for them in a 3v2. On the other side, Legerant de la Teste in trouble, down a player. And I'm getting word they didn't even bring in armor, like, at all. They brought in no armor for the sake of saving money, and it might be a problem. We do trade out 1, no, maybe 2. It's going to be Stickinson, Kaiser winning the gunfight, winning the trades, and wiping this team. Your winners of Delta Force Global League Season 1 and Season 2. First out in this lobby. 27 seconds on this extract, and here comes MandelBrick Addiction trying to third party. Stickinson is holding the angle. Tags up 1. They've got the information on them, and I don't think MandelBrick Addiction is going to be able to move in time.
No, there's no way. They have 15 seconds, and they are setting up for the success here. You're already getting the whirling discs out, looking to connect and just try and keep that. We even get a knock onto Bulldoze. So MandelBrick Addicts, they just have to see what they can do through the guise of the smokes. Can they find the angle, or are they going to walk right into a trap?
A couple knocks, but I don't think they're able to get the fulls. And as a reminder, look how many people extracted on that. MandelBrick Addiction technically gets 2 out. A nice sneak into the extraction point with about 800k or so. Able to get out of this map. But the big story of this map is absolutely Perry. They get admin to themselves. They get an airdrop to themselves. And they all get out of the lobby with a couple kills. Looking really good right now if you're Perry. A massive first map.
Yeah, also, you got YJK up ahead, 1.9 million in asset value. Fallon have already found some success by getting 1 kill on the board and would need to take this, but Flarage already down. We saw, you know, Jack there trying to hit the grapple, but YJK say, we're going to get aggressive. This is how we capitalize on it. Go for the major full and just keep on going.
Yeah, I like this a lot from this team. They are just swinging, and they were able to find a full wipe as well. Down go Fallen. Some of our top dogs having a frustrating first map. And frankly, Tiff, I think this goes back to kind of validate what we were talking about. Everybody's a top dog. This is going to be the top level competition, and they're going to go for the revive here, which I think is totally fair. But they've got to get to an extract if they want to keep some of this loot value. Fill up your safe boxes, sure, but you've only got 2 minutes to get out of this map. Key reminders, though, 300,000 Technic Alloy per kill in each of these games. So that's a decent amount of value just for wiping teams. You get a full wipe, that's 900k that your team's going to be able to take home and use going into the next one. It'd be nice to piece some of these weapons, or at least take the full thing out if you can. Got a big enough bag for it. Nice loot value they're able to add before they're hopefully able to try to get out of here. You're basically able to go to either repair or dam crest right now. Question is, can you make it in time?
Yeah, the issue is the one that they're kind of running towards, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that just only the drop your backpack? So as long as you can get everything where you need to be and just run and get the extract, you should be all right. So we'll see. Yeah. YJK, you know, Perry got all 3 out with 6.6 million. MandelBricks got 2 out and hopefully had enough, but we are full sprinting, should be good. Nice, pretty much round here for YJK.
Yeah, this was a very interesting map, frankly. It was a very slow start just based on the spawns that we were given. Everybody was really spread out. And then as expected, the airdrop was one of the reasons we had our first big encounter. And you can see, looks like we've got some Lapua ammo, but I don't think we've got the AWM. I think we maybe found that on somebody else. YJK came in late. But Lapua ammo, pretty expensive, so be able to sell that. Can't buy the AWM. We do see at least Jack get out through the no backpack extraction. The other 2 players are going to try to make it here. I don't think they make it. Running through cement plant right now. Yeah, this is just very close, but not enough. Do get 1 player out with a decent amount of loot, likely, and they've got plenty of kills, so they'll have plenty of money going into the next round to have just about whatever they want. Just not going to be crazy way up there on the leaderboard in comparison to what Perry was able to do this map, Tiff.
Just a real interesting starting point here on Zero Dam. It's kind of that level playing field of how are you going to set yourself up for success once those MandelBricks start dropping. And if you have to come in and you're like, oh, I already spent all my Technic Alloy, I didn't get any kills. Like you saw there, Legerons de la Teste, they set up for the massive trap to go ahead and wipe a team or 2, be able to steal their loot and extract with ease, right? Well, the tables completely turned on them. They gave away 300k Technic Alloy per kill that someone was able to get on them. And guess what? They got dropped. But they didn't bring in armor, so at least they kind of went in with a budget loadout. So hopefully they'll have some for that MandelBrick round next match.
Yeah, a huge boon to be able to walk out with that much value for a lot of these teams. Again, $300,000 Technic Alloy rather for each kill, which is huge value. It's auto added to their inventory. They can use that to buy whatever they want. But Perry, yeah, they've got a ton of loot value they can bring into this first round. We got to remember, top 2 make land. Top 2 today go to China and play for $500,000 against 8 total regions, 7 other regions besides Europe. I think just getting 1 brick could potentially get you to China. Perry could go in with as kitted out to the 9s as we could possibly go with the amount of loot value they got in that round, Tiff. They could go in guns blazing and go for this first brick and potentially not quite book their ticket, but set themselves up for success in game 2 to go to China already because of how good their first game was. Insane.
Yeah, it's just a balance of the RNG, luck, skill, all of the above, right? So you have to think, they started that match initially with admin to themselves. We blinked, and next thing you know, they have 3 to 4 million asset value in Technic Alloy. But what they didn't get was to that extract point first, right? I already talked about Legerons de la Teste. Well, who's the team that walks up on them? And what do? They turn that negative situation into a complete positive by grabbing the opening knock. So I think that was really impressive. But then you have kind of the big threat of semi-finals or semi-regional finals B, right? MandelBrick addictions. They kind of spawn down towards the center in the middle on the south side of things. And you kind of have this threat looming, like which way do they want to go? Are they going to rotate over to the west or the east? Are they going to take down a team? No, they start being the team that third parties up into the north after that initial congestion. They survived it, but they weren't as heavy hitting as we saw last weekend. We expected them to come out, you know, millions in loot value and the potential to go into that MandelBrick round and steal it.
Yeah, I really like that shout. Frankly, I think MandelBrick Addiction had a really poor spot that they were able to make the best use out of that they could. Able to sneak 2 people out, 2 people extracting is wild. We're going to head to a very short break here in the booth before game 2. You're not going to want to miss it. Our first MandelBrick round. It's going to be a fun one.
Delta Force is coming to consoles on August 19th, and we are incredibly excited to welcome players to the latest installment of the legendary shooter franchise.
Players can expect 2 highly dynamic and action-packed modes in Delta Force Warfare and Operations. Warfare is our tribute to previous Delta Force titles, offering players a dynamic roster of maps to enjoy all-out war experiences with vehicle play and counter, infantry combat, and more. Operations puts the player in the boots of an elite Delta Force in a modern extraction shooter game. Players can play solo or team up while experiencing its thrilling PvE moments. We're also bringing the faithfully rebooted Black Hawk Down campaign to console gamers in the format of free DLC to relive the 1993 battle.
Here at Virtuos, we worked closely with Team Jade to materialize their vision of Delta Force on consoles. Being a highly dynamic shooter game, frame rate consistency is extremely important for Delta Force, and we have spent tons of efforts to ensure that the game enjoys a stable 60 frames per second, with almost no frame rate drops. With adaptive trigger support, every shot in the game will feel even more impactful, satisfying, giving players an even more immersive experience. We also gave Xbox Series S some additional love, so despite its highly portable size, Series S players will also get the same frame rate treatment.
To ensure a smooth and enjoyable experience for console players, we've completely overhauled Delta Force's interface. We added focus-based navigation and quick access buttons, so players can easily perform all frequent in-game actions. For operations, we also introduced auto-inventory sorting when looting, making the experience much more convenient.
As for input, we created a fully remappable control system with multiple presets, added sensitivity and dead zone settings, and fine-tuned haptics for weapons, vehicles, and abilities. All of this is designed to ensure the controls feel smooth and intuitive, giving players a great gameplay experience.
We can't wait for console players around the world to jump in and experience everything Delta Force has to offer. Grab your controller, squad up, and play for free on August 19th.
Welcome back to the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers. Here's our scores from match number 1. This is our total assets on the board, and good golly, Miss Molly, Perry had an absolute banger match. Now, again, I believe this does take into account the first 3 million that essentially the teams will start with, $1 million per player. Even still, unbelievable totals with their kills in total. We're over 10 mil to start the day off. Talk about a way to set the bar high for Team Perry.
Yeah, look, here's the deal. Not only that, but you got Stickinson from Team Perry that had 3 kills. So 900,000 Technic alloy just from 1 player. You got Starbaxer who also had 1. So 4 for the entirety of the total team. YJK in the mix there in second place with a nice 4.5 mil. They were fragging out on the map. At first, I thought it was Fallen that had taken down, I believe it was No Game, No Life. Early on, no, I was mistaken. It was YJK. YJK were just absolutely being menaces. And if you think about it, they came in that 3rd place slot from the semis last weekend. So they had something to prove, right? They were just up there in the total loot value, but maybe with the frags that they got, I'm talking 6 total frags, Goj.
Yeah, huge amounts. And here's our totals across the board with everything involved. It's Perry at the top, YJK second, MandelBrick Addiction third. But it's close pretty much for everybody besides Perry at the top. I mean, a pretty close match. First game usually goes this way. It doesn't necessarily always set a team way above the rest. Usually it keeps the leaderboard fairly close. Everybody uses it as a looting round. But I thought it was super interesting to see Perry so far ahead with a bit of RNG luck on their side, not only in the spawns, but also winning admin. And by the way, my suspicions were correct. Saeed did drop that key card. So that's a nice couple mil there in total from that key card. I think around 1.5 or so just from that one key card alone. So they got some nice luck with what they were able to do, taking down Saeed and winning out of admin and getting that drop, that airdrop there on the north side of the map. I mean, good grief, an absolute banger from them, and winning a gunfight that was frankly very difficult to win against our Frenchman there in 4th place on our leaderboard. Leg Durance was in the best position on Dam. They're in the Dam extract, but they couldn't win the gunfight because, like you had mentioned, Perry just found the angle first and were able to get a knock, which gave them a 3v2 for that position. So we are moving to Brakkesh, though. It's our 1 game here on Zero Dam. And now as we head to Brakkesh, it is a MandelBrick round. And this is where, yes, we think maybe the tone was set by Perry, but here in game number 2, I mean, Tiff, what do you expect from a MandelBrick round? What do we think about operators? It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think this is where you might start seeing some Lunas come on out. Typically, if you have a MandelBrick round, you want to save your Luna. So anyone that's maining Luna on these teams is going to feel a lot more comfortable. Plus, if you think about what we witnessed back in the Delta Force Global League with Legerance et Letesse, they really excelled bringing out Viren and making sure that they were super defensive. So as we look at our operators to see what's actually available for this round, you can kind of get a feel for that, right? Perry on your screen, of course, they had a stellar match number 1, but it expended them a D-Wolf, a Viren, and a Hackclaw. So they were really focusing on having the recon capabilities through that data knife up there at the top. Now, for teams that we're thinking of that might play for the MandelBrick, of course, MandelBrick Addiction. They've expended a Viren, a Toxic, and a Saniva. What are they going to bring in? Obviously, we need an Assault Operator to keep that aggressive nature, but we saw Saniva's kind of being really vital in terms of actually defending the MandelBrick, depending on where you're going to go Decode. And I think that just goes to show you in our overall plan as we kind of get into match number 2 goes, it's like, where do we want to see that play for? Keep your eyes on Royal Museum, obviously right here. That's exactly where we're going to keep tabs on. Once that MandelBrick spawns, who's going to be the closest team?
Yeah, man, there's so much we could talk about. That's why I love this format. I like that breakdown of the operators, Tiff, because it was super interesting that we saw, I think it was 4 out of our 6 teams use a Saniva in round 1. I'm a bit surprised by that. I mean, we've seen how much value Saniva has in these MandelBrick rounds to be able to play around this Decode station. So I don't know. I'll be curious to see. Maybe they just spin them all now and we run it back. We go back-to-back Sanivas. I know Saniva's not technically one of the most meta operators when it comes to traditional pubs or even some tournaments. But here, when it's a MandelBrick round, I think they're extremely valuable to be able to hold angles and get information by just playing in the lane. So let's hop into the game. Let's see what the teams decided to go for in terms of their operator selections. I'd expect to see some recon operators like you had mentioned, whether it's Hackclaw, whether it's Luna, or somewhere in between. On your screen right now, Perry, obviously the team to beat with a total of 11.3 mil in assets going into this game. Way up ahead of this leaderboard, but whoever gets that MandelBrick will jump them or they will be them.
I think that's a really good shot. I mean, you can see over in Royal Museum, it's about 2 minutes, apologies, right there on that timer from when it spawns. And you have No Game, No Life over there, as well as Legerance et Letesse. They both spawned relatively close to the museum, and they're getting situated to make that happen. You can see the Shepherd coming through as Saniva, and of course, you do have Toxic. So we're kind of running in that realm of being able to lock things down. So for Legerance et Letesse, you've got the Luru, the Saniva, and an Assault Operator in the form of D-Wolf. So very similar across the board. Want to be able to protect things. But the thing is, where do we go from here? I don't know if you saw right off the rip, the spawn that was over by Asura Camp is actually Team Perry. I don't know what's going on, but they're getting some sick spawns. So if this decides to move over to camp, which we've seen many times before, they're going to be poised and ready.
Yeah, it's a really great shout. Museum gonna be the hot spot to start. Then you got to take it to a decoding station. Perry is already on one of those decoding stations, so you're right. If they take it over to camp, they're gonna be in for a rude awakening. The question is, who's gonna take it over to camp? Frankly, picking up the brick first. There's no tried and true method. It's not always fortune favors the bold. Sometimes the team that picks up the brick is usually the team that doesn't actually end up with the decode. Folks that maybe haven't tuned into a broadcast like this before, once you grab this brick, you're going to have a timer. We call it the torch timer. About 6 minutes or so to actually, I think it's actually 5 minutes to get it to the decoding station in general. Once you place it in the decode station, the timer will start for the decode. However, teams, of course, can steal that decode. And every time it's stolen, the timer will chunk down about 30 seconds. So the first time it's stolen, it'll reset the timer to 3.5 minutes. Stolen again, it'll reset to 3 minutes, and so on and so forth. The minimum that it could be reset to is 1.5 minutes. So you're racing against the clock, you're racing against your opposition. And, of course, loot value is still important as well.
Well, as we kind of work to get everything situated here for No Game, No Life, things will likely start to get interesting soon. MandelBricks, though, they've been doing substantially well in terms of finding those assets and getting them up. But once that MandelBrick spawns, a lot of our teams are going to start to inch closer, and look who gets their hands on it first. Les Gérants de la Test. Now, when you think back to the Delta Force Global League Season 2, right? They won that. Remember how strong they were in terms of locking down the decoding side of things. What is different here is the entire composition of their operators. I saw Virons. We had Lunas on the mix when it came through locking things down. But this time we're running with 2 engineers, which I think can be really smart because you've got the traps, you've got the nades. You can use all of those assets to make sure you break it down. And we did choose one of the quite open decoding stations.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one. We've already started the decode. So as a reminder, again, 4 minutes on the clock. If it gets stolen, it'll reset to 3.5 no matter what that timer gets down to. Les Gérants is setting up their traps. Now, again, I think it was a great call out. 2 engineer operators is an interesting one. This feels like a bit more of a defensive meta build, if you will, for their operators. You can obviously throw down the wire here. If you're Saniva, you can play these angles with the shield to actually gather information to see if a team's pushing you. On the other side, the Luru, great as well for information gathering. Can use the guided missile, use the traps. I actually quite like this comp. Triple blaster to be able to play some of these alleyways. Should work out decent for them, but patience is a virtue, absolutely, when you're just playing for the decode. They're basically setting up 2, they're setting up 1 on every angle, which I don't mind this play. The one in the middle can go help out anybody. The key is you just don't want to get picked, so you will see Saniva play a little bit more what I'll call aggressive or out in the open, but speaking of out in the open, YJK found their first knock. MandelBrick Addiction down to 2 players yet again. This happened in the last map as well. Let's see if they're able to regain just like last one.
Well, I'm looking at kind of how insane fighting prowess they had from the semis, right? Like 15, and they're just getting so antsy here today. Now, doing everything that they can. If MandelBricks Addiction, if they should have been the top team last week, could have been the heavy hitter coming into today. But if people have already kind of identified that and just get even more aggro onto them, I think that's the way to counteract that.
Well, MandelBrick Addiction has lost 1. They were able to get the revive, then lost another. We've traded out a player, so it is a 2v2 technically on paper. We'll see who shoots straighter or finds the angles first. Battle for the bottom side of the map is a big one. You got to remember, MandelBrick's super important. We'll keep an eye on that timer. That was great shots. Be able to find one from distance. That's you finding Yaku. They were able to get the revive here, Tiff, so I believe it's still a 2v2 for now.
All right, I think this is smart. Make sure we focus on gearing back up before engaging into this and kind of setting that trap, right? You do have a player that's out towards your left, but honestly, there's going to be a peak here. So to be able to anticipate that timing and go off the smoke, maybe divert a bit. I'm surprised they're actually not kind of hailing over this downed player towards the right. They did kind of back up and instead opening it up with nades and pick off another.
Yeah, this is a huge take. Now, it does look like Kaiser was able to find one from distance, which is a nice boon as well. MandelBrick Addiction now down to 1 because of that. Kaiser found some off angle on MandelBrick Addiction. And now MandelBrick Addiction is going to be down to 1 player. while everybody else restabilizes. But we got our eyes here on the MandelBrick because while that's all been happening, Perry says, okay, we might be at the top of the leaderboard, but we won't be for long if we let this team get the brick. So we're going to go for a steal here down on the low side while we're trying to pressure with Kaiser on the high ground. The problem is it's on the other side of that shipping container, and there's a pretty good chance that Durance has an angle looking over the top of it. Nice shots from Kaiser to open things up. Sees the other one on the far side. We trade out one, trade out two. Zap goes huge, taking down 2 players from Perry. Almost wins the 1v3. Les Durance, 9 seconds on the clock. Les Durance down to 1 player.
As long as 1 player is alive while it's decoded, we are good and well. And there you go. Your first MandelBrick has been decoded. Now, mind you, we have LAN on the line. We have China. Our top 2 teams will move on from this to compete for $500,000. And the key to success, getting those MandelBricks.
Unbelievable. We've got more fights happening right now. Saniva grappling people in, trying to beat people down, but Fallen wins the gunfight, wins the shield bash fight. Saniva versus Saniva, but player advantage always stands tall. 3 players alive for Fallen, 3 players dead for NGNL. No game, no life. Out of here in this lobby. Les Durance, the first with the brick. Paris wanted to prioritize making sure they stayed alive, and they were able to do that. We'll see if they're able to wipe this team that just got the MandelBrick.
Well, imagine you get the MandelBrick decoded, and next thing you know, you can extract with a ton of value, and it's gonna be Nox out here trying to hold it down. His 2 teammates right here, Perry, have been so crazy in terms of their fighting. Kaiser over there on the other side. Just keep your eyes on him. Down to a 1v1, but could they focus on maybe picking some of these teammates back on up to get in the fight? You can see right now, Perry is going to do that.
Nox is crushing it right now with a chance of the 1v3. Perfect read. Perfect find. Les Durance, the top of the leaderboard because of the MandelBrick, and they just wiped the team at the top of total assets. A huge boon for them. They're able to loot up all these bodies, get everybody back on their feet. Fallen is going to try to third party this quickly. They should hear the revive timer as well. Nox is going to have to do it again. He already won a 1v3. He's got to do it again, this time against Saniva.
Well, make it a 2v3, but Zap's going to be out of the fight for the time being until he can gear back up, and Pro Rock is just running straight on in, senses blood in the water, wants to get into the action, but here's HR from a different angle, and off-screen knocks down, knocks out, and it's just Zap having to hold on.
Zap having to hold on or run away. Either way, you're not going to run away from a Saniva. Down you go. Wiped out of this lobby. Do they care? Sure. But do they really care? Not really. They get the brick. They lose their loot. This is a huge boon for Fallen as well. But like you mentioned, we are playing for tickets to China, of course, and thousands of dollars. And getting the first MandelBrick has set you up for success. You're now the team to beat. They've lost quite a bit of loot in this one, but even still, so worth it. And several kills as well. You got to remember, that's 300k per kill that they'll get back going into the next round. So they're not going to be broke, even with that MandelBrick being secured.
Oh, definitely not. But this is what you're going to have to do, right? If you're playing for second, right? You don't get the MandelBrick. What's the best thing you can do? Out-loot Perry. They had north of... I mean, look, that's kind of nice, right?
Shit, nice find. 2 mil? Yeah. MandelBrick supercomputing unit? I'm down. Sorry, that just surprised me. Nice read from our observers there.
They're like, hey, look at the goods here. Now, we can kind of bring it back and talk about the other teams that might just be focusing on looting and getting things up. Now, YJK down there in the south by New Tower of Babel, the quality that they've got in their loot pool, probably pretty decent. Fallen mid-map, and you've got MandelBricks, Dix up there towards the north, likely looking to get on out. It's a regain, right? And there we go. We are saving. We've got millions. We get 1 player out.
Yeah, 1 player out. Of course, Les Durance fully out of this lobby. MandelBrick addiction. It was actually Kaiser that found the off angle from Perry to take down 1 player of MandelBrick addiction that forced them to scatter and run to the win. So MandelBrick addiction down to 1 player, able to extract out through, I assume, through the Tower of Babel. But now with only 2 teams remaining on the map with a decent amount of loot. One thing we'll notice, I was going to say this before, but now you'll definitely notice, on the left-hand side of your screen, when you see that leaderboard, we're going to have an assets obtained. That's going to be in this match. So obviously you see Perry down there with only 500K. You know that's not their total. We will see total assets on the left as well. I'll try to call it out when we swap back and forth between them. But Perry at about 500,000 from this lobby, which basically is nothing because they get wiped. But got a couple kills. That'll be some extra 300, 600K or so, however many they picked up. And here's a quick look at it. Oh, gosh, I love our production team, Tiff. There's a look on the left. This is their total assets as of current. So Belligerants at 4.1 mil. Plenty of money to play next round with decent equipment. They obviously got the MandelBrick. Perry overall amount is pretty high still. But YJK totally, and Fallen, frankly, closing the gap dramatically because of some of these kills, being able to loot up their opponents.
All right. Yeah, this is a stellar game number 2. Vastly different from match number 1, which to be expected, right? Very slow pace, very much focusing on the MandelBrick at hand. But you think back to the semis, people were playing all over the place. So I love that we've kind of honed in. The issue is I didn't expect the MandelBrick to go so quickly right off the map. And I think that takes people by surprise, right? So you think about what's going to happen in match number 4 when we see the next MandelBrick. All of this is going to change. So you might as well prioritize getting as many kills as possible, as much loot as possible, so you can take them down next time.
Just pick up any scraps that you can, as long as you get out of the map, of course. This is the true operations gameplay loop, folks.
Watch this, you coward!
Do the missions, get the loot, and get out. These teams don't all know how many teams are in the lobby still, so you still got to be careful, as they're going to be looting up some of these safes, doing some of the missions up here at the Tower of Babel. A huge boon to win Tower of Babel as well, too. Tiff, we talk about this often. I heard you and Vivid talking a lot about this. Vivid is a loot goblin, just like I am. And being able to win out of Tower of Babel is huge. There's a ton of loot here in the Tower of Babel. One of the highest value loot areas in any of the maps, frankly. So if you can get lucky, I mean, you can find some really good stuff doing missions like this, but also just generally looting up the entire POI.
I just laugh because it's like, how do I get to work with so many loot goblins over here? I'm the person that you have to keep tabs on because you put a little shiny object in front of me or the potential for a fight, and I'm invested, right? It's get me involved. I'm full sent. I'm that player you don't want. You'd probably rather have someone hanging behind, making sure that they're organizing everything and their safe box is absolutely kitted out. But here, that is going to be so much more exponentially needed because it is China on the line land to cement yourself in Delta Force competitive history. So that's exactly what we're looking for of our teams. And quite frankly, YJK, Fallen, both doing everything that they can to move themselves up that leaderboard. You can see that extraction point there in the center. Of course, you do have the extract in the new Tower of Babel. It's going to cost you, though. You're going to need some dog tags, and I believe only one person can actually use it. So we're going to have to focus maybe on a mid-map contest.
Yeah, mid-map contest on the extraction point makes a ton of sense here. Could run through, like you just mentioned, dog tag extract on the north side, or sorry, south side of the map in the Tower of Babel, but I'll be curious to see if they actually fight over this middle extraction point. There's enough time on the clock to get there for both teams. I think you're right. I think we will see this fight mid-map. They have the dog tags to potentially get out, but I think they're going to come out and play for this. This is going to be fun.
I like that Fallen's already setting up for it. You're sending one kind of overextended out to make sure they can pick up some things. But when you've got YJK, they're staying very close to one another, which can be smart or could be detrimental. But I think you'll start seeing them take form here just maybe like 30 meters ahead. You've got Dr. Prometheus up there in the north as well, hanging out. But here's the deal. How are we going to set this up, or will we get caught out?
I think the angles here are usually, and now I would have said this about Zero Dam as well, usually the team that sets up first wins the fight.
Right.
It's not always the case. Just about who finds the first angle. See Fallen setting up well. Again, Fallen came in and basically third-partied everybody. So they were able to find quite a bit of loot. You can see their total assets have jumped up dramatically on our overall leaderboard on the left-hand side. Up to almost 8 mil. So that gap that Perry had created in the first round closed pretty significantly. Here's the off angle. Minute and 20, still plenty of time for YJK to creep up here and make a play for this extract. As a reminder, I'm sure you've all experienced this before. Maybe not, though. It happened in our first round already. If you get knocked, but you're not fulled, and you're inside of the extraction zone, when it hits 0, you do extract while crawling around. They just got to get there when the timer hits 0 and hope they don't get full wiped. Oh, yeah, we've spotted them out, Tiff.
I was gonna say, there's no way they miss that, right? They kind of look on over, get a little bit of inkling. Yeah, they see the shield, and right now it's about who's gonna be right there. Maybe they can distract Pro Rock, but as soon as you invest the frag grenade, someone's gonna know you're immediately just on the other side of this fence. Now, can you rip the players out from behind the cover? It's gonna be difficult because you have to look at what do we have. You've got a detection arrow, you've got a volt arrow, and maybe you can hit some nasty lineups from that Luna. So let's see.
Yeah, this Seneva hold on the left side is genius, though. I mean, you basically can't push through this door. Can't even jump peek the door because Seneva's there with the shield up. So they're in trouble right now. Arrows coming through. 8 seconds on the clock, by the way, for the extraction. I don't think they're going to make it there in time. It's top middle next to the minimap. 3 seconds and counting. Here's the push. Fallen trying to get there, and all 3 get out. Not a single member of YJK get out of the map. Too slow. Got to move quicker than that, gentlemen. Perfect setup from Fallen. A perfect extraction. And now we're off to the races to try to get out of this map if we possibly can. I don't think they're fast enough. And I think they're realizing that. Right now, it's about optimizing your safe boxes, gentlemen. You got.
Yeah, optimize those safe boxes, but maybe you can still send someone up towards that extraction in the tower, but time is of the essence, and you can send them in with as much as possible, but you look at the safe box here, and you do have at least 1 item in there that is red, so I mean...
Yeah, I think they brought it in, though. I mean, usually that's what these players do, is they'll bring in some goods in their safe boxes so they don't lose them. That's kind of their most expensive stuff they brought in is going to be some of those repair kits, so... I mean, you don't lose that, which is, I mean, that's what you want to do, right? It's not going to help your overall leaderboard necessarily.
Still safe.
But it won't hurt it either. And a couple wine cups, I guess. Yeah, this is brutal. It's a tough loss for them, honestly. I think they just should have tried moving faster. Obviously, it was a perfect setup from Fallen, but even still, this player just barely, I think, missing out. Not enough time for the extraction. I don't know how much they're actually losing for that, but even still, a great map for Fallen. Really impressed with their extraction. But the story that feels like it was eons ago, but the story of that map was the MandelBrick. First MandelBrick taken care of. Late Durance de la Teste. Did I say it right that time? I think I did. Get our first MandelBrick. There's a reason there are Delta Force Global League Season 1 and 2 winners, Tiff. They have a chance to go back to back to back. Unreal.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is real at this point. I love that it's unreal, but it is very real. Legion's in the test, they put the blinders on, they just focus. They're like, look, there's a MandelBrick here, and that is all we're going for. Of course, they had some really nice spawns that got them situated around Royal Museum. There was a couple of pokes and prods as you saw the 2 teams kind of eventually looking for that decode, but they're the ones that grab it. They head right on over to market. It's one of the closest decoding stations, and they just get the job done, coming in with 2 engineer operators and just kind of holding down the fort. And honestly, Zap with that nasty 1v3, they could have held on. As we look through some of the replays, I guarantee you we get to see that moment again.
Yeah, I mean, this is the replays here are going to be just awesome. I'm really pumped to look back on these because I was so impressed with what these teams were able to do. Fortune absolutely favored the bold this time around. Legion's did not wait on anyone. They immediately grab the brick when it spawns. They immediately sprint over this decoding station, the closest one, by the way. And while this fight's happening down on the south side of the map, a huge fight, but it was actually Kaiser from the off angle that takes down one member of the MandelBrick Addiction team, forcing them to 1 player. So you're not going to see NBA getting involved in these fights at all. It was Kaiser going huge inside of this fight. And it was a huge take right here to be able to take down 2 members, get the revives, but Legion's, they just get the brick, and they're able to stay alive for a little bit longer. Fun fight here with Fallen. They just outnumbered their opponents. And I'm telling you, that Seneva operator extremely valuable. Kaiser picking up a couple more kills, but it was Nox that was the star player for this Legion's team, picking up a triple kill and unfortunately finally getting cut down by Fallen.
Oh, there we go. They hunt them down, pick up the last kill onto Zap. And here's the one player from MandelBricks that did get out. Now,
oh, nice.
We did have one full team and one member of MandelBricks get out on the northern side of things. So they're on that regain territory. And if they want to float under the radar, I'm kind of okay with that because there's still the opportunity for them once we jump onto Space City for them to go back to back. Right? Just because we didn't actually get to see their gameplay because that was happening in a lobby off stream last week. They were from that semifinals B, so they still have that kind of air of mystery surrounding them aside from what you've seen potentially from their content and some of their personal streams. But for right now on our main broadcast, they're kind of operating in that gray area and I'm nervous, but I'm excited to see what they do on Space City.
Yeah, I am really excited about it as well. But first, we've got to go through a non-MandelBrick round coming up right around the corner. We're going to be heading back to Brakkesh. This time, no MandelBrick. This time, an opportunity for a lot of teams to rack up some loot value and make sure they can go in with some great gear into our next MandelBrick round. Folks, we're going to head to a very short break here in the booth. When we come back, Game 3 right around the corner.
Some people want to run rampant, mutating Asara. But my forces will make sure they don't come back. We'll settle the score. Asara is ours.
On the current disputed area, enemy forces want to initiate peace talks.
Havoc will not negotiate with fools. Weapons represent our stance.
We must keep a sharp edge. Violence is sometimes a necessity, not in brutal destruction, but in a calculated strike.
Violence isn't always the answer. Looks like we have company. Seal the air. Clear all obstacles. The sky belongs to Havoc.
welcome back to the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers. EU Regional Finals has been a banger thus far. Here's a quick look at our scoreboard. This is just from match 2, Tiff. Obviously, later on, they get the MandelBrick, and they do get a wiped eventually. The big winners, besides our MandelBrick capturers, Fallen. 7 million round is a nice one.
Yeah, I'm okay with it, right? They were the full team that extracted there at the center of the map. YJK down at the bottom at number 6, right? They're the ones that initially took that challenge but couldn't get anyone out. So you can see that stark difference. It's unfortunate that they couldn't even like sneak one in to really navigate that extract, but you got MandelBrick Addiction there in third with 2.6 million, kind of on the up and up. They only sent one player out of that map on Brakkesh. No game, no life. They haven't really had maybe the showing that they would like thus far, but getting out with a nice 1.7 million, I'm okay with it. For Leger on Silates, the real storyline, obviously the MandelBrick. When you think about the long game of the series and trying to snag your tickets to that global finals, that LAN there happening in China to compete for $500,000, what's gonna happen if someone comes in and grabs 2 MandelBricks back to back in 4 and 5, and you're kind of here with a MandelBrick? That would get you second, right? But what if someone else, a couple different teams gets it? Let's look at the overall and see what that is shaping up to be that you're going to have to contend with if multiple teams get MandelBricks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I want to remind people at home, MandelBrick, your first ranking metric on the leaderboard. So everybody else is ranked via total assets. That's why Perry is in second place by only a little bit now, by the way, with how big of a map Fallen just had, coming in, playing cleanup, picking up the rest of the loot, and getting out of the lobby. Really well done from them to stay within striking distance. Later on, at the top because of their MandelBrick. Perry in second right now after 2 because of the insane map 1 that they had on Zero Dam. But everybody else ranked accordingly. Decently even for 4, 5, and 6. A race at the top, a race at the bottom, but anything could happen. 3 million, it seems like a lot. It's not all that much of a spread. Plenty of room to work on this leaderboard going into round 3 here, Tiff.
I think those are all really good shouts. So there's going to be a lot to move here, especially when you talk about going into the airdrop round next. It's making sure that you can grab those airdrops, getting the coveted armors or potential helmets. We saw a player grab 2 fossils right off the rip of the first airdrop, and it is the last time that you're going to be on Brakkesh. So you're going to feel comfortable, obviously, with the teams and the chemistry that you've got kind of in that lobby, but hopefully you get a favorable spawn. Maybe you'll find yourself as the only team in the Tower of Babel like we saw happen just in the last map. I don't know. These spawns are crazy today.
Yeah, they certainly are. And as we take a look at it, as a reminder, we are headed back to Brakkesh, our last Brakkesh map of the day for EU, this time without a MandelBrick. So it's going to be the battle, like you said, for the Tower of Babel, which I think rhymes. I'm going to start making my own book of rhymes you can make in Delta Force. Let's take a look at the operator usages thus far. And I was going to say as expected, absolutely not as expected. We've already burned both of our Saniva operators for Fallen and MandelBrick Addiction in our first 2 rounds. We'll not see another Saniva from them. The only team that has yet to burn a Saniva is Perry. Now, I'm spending a lot of time with the Saniva operator. There's a lot of other operators that are really important, maybe even frankly more important. We've just seen so many crazy plays with Saniva that it's worth mentioning.
I think that's true, right? He's been really impressive when it comes to this. I know I was talking to Vivid last weekend, and he's like, yo, I love playing Luna, but I'm really shocked at how much Saniva is coming through in the comps, and I might just pick him up. And, well, for the teams that have already burned him, you're not going to have that available to you, so hopefully you can lock it down, have this thing end early, because if not, we're going the distance, and you're going to have to contend against some Sanivas in the most important games of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, teams, all varying degrees of strategies, a lot of operators to talk about. Some operators already off the board, but even still, it is time for Brakkesh, and it is time for no MandelBrick round. We're going to be paying attention to those airdrops. Could potentially see an AWM, some Lapua ammo picked up from some of these teams. Maybe they'll actually use it. Maybe they'll actually get out of the map with it and use it in the MandelBrick round. It'll be the first time we've seen that on broadcast. But you can see our spawn locations. We've got our 2 top teams, team in first and team in second, both inside the Tower of Babel already. It's going to get mixy real quick.
Look, that's exactly what I want to have happen, for sure. But for Perry, who said, I had admin early on in Zero Dam to myself. I'm used to being just the one and only team. You know they're going to run into each other. And to be fair, Legerance and Latesse, after that MandelBrick, they're going to be feeling pretty good. They had some nice fights, and we've seen them in the Delta Force Global League, just holding it down, so they'll be fun to contend with. But I love looking at the north side, right? No Game, No Life kind of up there in the center thing, up by Grand Hammond, but you also have MandelBrick addicts who are looking for maybe that comeback sensation. They really got some asset values in match number 2, and probably are coming in relatively kitted out.
Yeah, 3 teams inside of the Tower Babel as expected. Tiff, you called it perfectly. The battle for the brick in last round is now the battle for the Babel. YJK gonna slow walk in here. They don't want to give away their position with their footsteps. See a player above. It's gonna be Perry in the yellow all day today. I love our spectator system. People to x-ray through, see all the different teams. Free up above, behind this team. Legerance on the right. Who shoots first? Might take a while. Might be a fight that lasts a long time, or could be over in a blink of an eye. That's what we love about Delta Force. Perry might just be getting out of dodge here, Tiff. They might not like that fight. I mean, they've got some decent loot. Picked up a couple things in Babel, and they just didn't like the angle that they were taking inside of the building.
It's respectable, right? Like, if you do not feel like it's going to be a smart engagement for you, you're starting to realize that in match number 3, we are that much closer to the potential of sealing our tickets. And with one MandelBrick already down and you don't have it, nah, I'm good, right? So even though we can focus on just kind of looting on up, we love that Legerance and Latesse, they're kind of inching their way in. Of course, you want to be smart about it, but YJK picks up a banger, almost 500K of value just from that one asset. So you know that's going to keep on climbing up and going to do really well when you're fighting for potential of second place.
Yeah, any loot you can find here on this map is extremely important. Sets yourself up success on the leaderboard, sets yourself up for success in terms of what loot you bring in. So far, so good. No shots fired yet. It's the name of the game here in operations. It's slow play until you find the angle. And right now, if I'm Legerance, I'm looking to wipe teams. I think if I'm Legerance and I've got the advantage on the MandelBrick, I'd love to take some fights here. Looks like our first shot's being fired against our NPCs on the map. Blue Eagle. Extremely annoying in the air sometimes. That helicopter has played spoiler 2 MandelBrick rounds before. And it looks like NBA is going to take care of that quickly. Get some loot from it.
I think they're doing that, Gosh. I think they came in with an interesting composition, right? You got 2 Hat Claws. You've got the we are going in. The knocks and everything. Like, we want to be so much of just a menace to everyone inside the lobby.
I mean, that's what I would be doing. I'd love to be a menace on this map. Get a little mixy. Get aggressive. Perry playing nice and slow here. I think they've got a read where this team's at. So they've set up kind of a trap for them. This really does feel like they've set up a full, like, hunting trap in the jungle. And this MandelBrick Addiction team's walking straight into it. See ya! Wide open angles, and unfortunately isn't able to get both. Nice trade from the off angle. Dickinson. Perfect setup, perfect execution. The prey has been captured. The hunters will eat tonight. Good grief. Perfect setup. Very well done.
Yeah, my jaw just dropped because that was so impressive the way they were able to do that. If I'm MandelBrick Addicts, I'm not gonna say punching the air right now, but I am kind of punching the air because there are things when you think about when you're going through the semis last weekend, right? If you had that much of a powerful performance, and I hate that I have to keep harping on it, but of course you have your 3 invited teams that are here that are going to be different, right? And well, Perry's one of them. They're clearly coming out swinging, and that's exactly what they need to do. Now, you talked about it. You were like, look, this is where our teams came from. They have been competing in Delta Force since the very beginning, or, you know, like Legerance and Latesse that's still down there in Tower of Babel, kind of sussing out YJK. They're a team that has been at the top of the Delta Force Global League. So this is the quality of our invited teams that are going to make it really difficult for the teams coming through the qualifiers to get to LAN.
No, I love that shout. And frankly, invited is with an asterisk, right? I mean, these teams did earn it. I mean, they were invited to other tournaments, won those tournaments. Here's a quick look at another fight, though. Fallen's found an angle, and they found a knock and a full. Fleric with a nice angle through the window to find one. Not going to be necessarily a signal flare to his team to push out because it's so far away. But that's 300K straight to the bank.
Mm-hmm. Well, Fallen is one of those teams that did come through the qualifiers, right? We've seen them compete through a ton of Delta Force events, and they have just proven every single time that we see them that they are a force to be reckoned with. And now just making sure they're putting the icing on the cake with their asset values, gearing up to be able to contend for those MandelBricks, opening things out with a nice frag, and look at that, half HP, and we're just going to keep on moving forward. It gives you that opening that you need to kind of hit that cross and take over, because it's just a 3v2.
Yeah, 3v2, a huge boon, and I guess it was a signal flare. They're going to fly at this. You don't want to... We've seen teams scam before. Don't want to scam. Play together as a unit. You know you get the win if you play this correctly. You have the advantage, and actually just finds the angle. Flare going crazy right now. Picking up a second kill. There's a reason Fallen was near the top of the leaderboard in the semifinals. The reason they're a top team today. Able to find 2 kills, looking for the third. There's the top angle. Fleric gets the all 3. Fleric needs no help. 1, 2, 3, knock him down. Ready for what comes next.
And look at what that is. Goes straight to an airdrop. The blessings from above to really just give you that nice reward.
It's another big fight off screen. There they are on screen. Belligerants just wiped all of YJK in front of our very eyes. Winning the Tower of Babel when you're already at the top of the leaderboard. Just barely, by the way. They were all so low. To be able to do it with all 3 up now, they've got this entire POI to themselves with 11.5 minutes on the clock. A huge boon for them to pick up a ton of loot and increase their loot value just in case somebody else gets a brick. But we got to get back into another fight. Game 3, certainly one that's a lot hotter than maybe I expected.
Yeah, you still have Perry lurking up in the north and likely got this pick onto the player from Fallen. At least HR is able to drop straight onto it. But you're right, we're halfway through. I did get a look at kind of the cost of what it took for Legeron de Lattès to take that fight in the Tower of Babel. Look, if your Nox is clutching things up and then you look at his kit and you see, okay, well, his Silent Assault was gone. He was low on the flashbang. So we saw so much expense, and they're going to have to manage those cooldowns, but they should be fine being the only team in the South, since this is like kind of one of the last standing fights that we're going to witness.
3 teams on the map. All 3 teams with all 3 players alive. And all separated for the most part. 2 of our... I mean, this is actually... What is this? This is our top 3. This is first, second, and third on our leaderboard. I mean, this is huge for them. You can see Kaiser making sure that nobody comes in from this angle, but not going to see anybody for a very long time. He just doesn't know that. Teammates making sure that camp is theirs before we do anything else.
I love that they retreated, right? They pick up that knock and then just kind of ran. And that's essentially focusing on the loot, staying in their lane, staying just poised and focusing on the long goal, right? It's we get out of here safely. You know that next fight that we're going to witness is once we start seeing teams trying to get out of this map. And those are what you have to be poised and ready for. So seeing Legeron de Lattès down there in the new Tower of Babel, it's like, okay, hey, where are we going after this? We know we could potentially send one out. We have the dog tags required to activate the extract in the top of the new Tower of Babel. So maybe we just place our bets and get 1 player out and then send 2 to fight. But they don't know that we have 2 teams left that are still full teams of 3. So to send someone into a 2v3 can be difficult, but I am giving them the benefit of the doubt, because how many times have we seen a 1v3 clutched up from that team?
Yeah, plenty of times.
Yeah.
In this event and plenty of others. It's a huge fight, though. You got to remember, this airdrop is gigantic for the spread. I mean, obviously, a boon potentially for this map. There's not a lot of fighting left on the map. 9 minutes on the clock. Airdrop behind them. They're going to make sure they get into a powerful position to hold this angle, knowing that they are able to retake this building here I don't know if they're going to swing on this fight or just play spoiler to potentially... Oh, no, Kaiser! Checking the wrong angle, and luckily doesn't go down there. Frankly, should have. But I think a bit of the smoke covered his body, so he's able to stay alive. Perry can back up and play for this airdrop. Whether they pick up the AWM from the airdrop or just great loot, it's going to be a huge value add for their team. On the left-hand side, you'll see the current assets from this map alone. And a pretty even spread at the top. Perry technically lagging behind.
Okay, so we are just gonna run. This is our time to kind of gear up together and focus on the task at hand. You have 8 minutes left, and I think this is smart, right? Take these different angles, get up onto that high ground, and maybe just look for any audio cue. Because if we do have this airdrop coming on in, it's who's going to get there first. And is it going to be safe for you to jump immediately on it, especially with Fallen kind of lurking near the parking lot? They're going to want a piece of this, especially it being the second airdrop of the map. You know what that comes with.
Ooh, there it is. Got an AWM. This is a huge, huge boon for them. Really would like to take this into the next map for the MandelBrick round. It's Star Baxter that's able to pick it up, I believe. And this is actually the same player from Perry that did the exact same thing in the DFEI tournament a couple weeks ago. The Elite Invitational, this team was invited. They have a ton of experience, though. They just barely missed the mark in the Delta Force Global League. In Season 1 and 2, this team's been playing together a very long time. They get to the Elite Invitational, dominate. And it was actually Star Baxter with the AWM that completely changed the tide of battle for them and got them the victory to get the brick. Could see a repeat of history for Perry if they're able to get out of the map with it, which they've got plenty of time to do so. We do see one member of Fallen get out with, I assume, a majority of their loot. The other two remaining players staying on the map, maybe to play spoiler.
Look, smart. We were talking about that with later on to the test. We're like, were they going to do that, right? Well, we do see Fallen do it, and I think it's smart to start focusing on that, especially if it's not a MandelBrick round. You have to maintain a lot of that asset value because you do have to see, hey, if maybe we don't get a MandelBrick, maybe it ends next game. There's a possibility for that to happen. So you have to play as if it's ending right now.
Patience right now. All three teams separated. But it's going to be a battle over this middle extraction point again. Two different teams this time, likely, though. Perry likely to get there first. Gerance to come in from the Tower of Babel afterwards.
I need to make sure everything kind of gets flipped to activate it, but we do have... You'll probably start seeing this pick up in the pace as soon as we get to kind of that 4 to 5 minute mark. But for right now, we've just kind of got to make sure we're clearing things out in museum, and they'll probably find some goods here as well. Let's see what's behind the door. Give us the goods. Give us the reds.
Yeah, we'll take what we can get. There's the lever pulled. So we're on a 4-minute timer. Minute and a half will be on the clock after this extraction goes away. Got a couple other options based on dog tags through the Tower of Babel, over at the helipad. But it's going to be a battle over this middle extraction. This is a freebie. And some sizable loot there. Woo, nice little, almost 600k, I think, between the stopwatch and the gold bar for Perry. That's a nice little value add. They've caught back up on the leaderboard there on the left-hand side. You can see them actually jumping barely over their opposition in this map.
Dare I say I'm nervous, Goj, because as you see, teams are going to be sprinting at that extract point. Now, if I'm Gerance de la Teste, I have to bide my time, but we saw what this cost the teams in that earlier Brakkesh map, right? Think about where they had already set up, and the team that got there first and played around those shipping containers and kind of had those angles, they were the ones that extracted, and then we saw the immediate YJK not able to get out, and they're just like, oh my God, we are so done.
This is, I think, exactly what Fallen wanted. If they've gotten a read on the fact that this extraction's been pulled, which they should, they got out with the majority of their loot. You can see 2 members of Fallen stayed on the map to play spoiler. They should play for this as well in third party, this potential 3v3 between Perry and Gerance. I assume Legerance is going to come down and contest this. Perry would love to just get out of here. Again, this is our last non-MandelBrick round, so loot value here, a huge boon for your leaderboard. I've explained this a couple times. I saw a couple of folks asking in chat a moment ago. MandelBrick is our first ranking metric, then total assets. So if two teams, for instance, have the same amount of MandelBricks, it does come down to total assets. It's extremely important to maximize your loot value. You can see on the left-hand side, we have swapped it over to the total assets category. 16.1 mil if Perry gets out of here with this value that they've got on them, plus the extra boons that they'll get at the end of this map, aka the kills that they got, match compensation, all that good stuff. So they're going to be up over 17 mil after this map. Just a huge boon for them to be able to play for second or potentially first if they're able to get this next one. Reminder too, Tiff, not to ramble on, but
no,
they also have they have the AWM. I mean, this is everything. I mean, sure, you could use it now to prevent teams from getting close to the fight. It does look like Legerance is going to think about it, but great map for Perry.
I love when we kind of step back and see how they're kind of breaking it down to hold this. But Nox, this is what's going to be the best thing, right? You've got the silent assault. You can activate it. You got the tactical flashbangs. So what is that going to do? If you throw out a flashbang, you connect. You immediately get that information. You could pop your silent assault and really take a flank here. So I'm expecting them to do. And you see the opening come through. First flashbang out. Second one to follow. There's the connection.
Again, up next. Oh, that nade just hit him in the chest.
Here, hold this.
That was crazy. I don't know if they're going to find an angle. Top left by the minimap. Probably a little bit small if you're on mobile. 27 seconds on this extraction timer. Now only about 20 seconds away. Nox has been playing Route Man all day today and has come up big in giant moments for a 1v3. Really want to make sure Star Baxter doesn't get out of this map. Flair's found an angle. Flair from the off angle gets a full onto Vlad.
That hurts. That hurts. That's not what you want to have happen here, but Fallen has proven time and time again that this is what they're good at doing. But look who gets on out. We see one member of Legerance to Latesse. It's going to be Zap on out. The entire team of Perry has made it out of this map. And now Fallen, the two members that have been kind of left behind from that initial extracting point, are just going to see, can we find this last player here?
This is what Fallen wanted. We called it. It's exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to play spoiler, and they're doing it near flawlessly. Not a perfect execution, but we take those. That's 600K to their bank for 2 kills that they were able to pick up on the 2 final remaining players of Legerance. A great map for Fallen to be able to get out with some loot out of 1 player, stick 2 on the map, and spoil Legerance. They really, though, would have liked to come in just a hair earlier to make sure that Perry team did not get out of the map. It was just a little bit too slow yet again. We saw that timer at about 20 seconds, Tiff. And as they started fighting, boom, if you're in that extraction zone, you are out of the map. So a little bit of a missed opportunity, but they still get a decent amount of value for staying, and they punish Legerance. Great effort from Fallen. Legerance has got to be shaking their heads. Obviously still going to be at the top of the leaderboard because of the MandelBrick, but even still, great plays and a great map. That was a fun one.
Yeah, we definitely got a ton of people out. Perry, though, they're going to be that heavy hitting squad when we look towards match number 4. When we move to Space City, we have that MandelBrick come on through. We know what they have, and they are going to be absolutely demonic, and it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be scary. There's no question about it. They're going to be jumping out from underneath the bed and, say, gotcha with the AWM, one-shotting people from all over the map, especially on Space City with these super long sight lines. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But a fun map. I think I'm really excited to recap some of what happened because a lot of action, then basically no action, and then the fight for the extraction. Classic gameplay loop. Welcome to Operations. A fun map indeed. And I think even more fighting than, again, I expected. These teams are playing for land. We need loot value in these rounds, and being able to play for some of those airdrops, a huge boon. Perry, near perfect map from them. Let's take a quick look back on those recaps, those replays, and see how it all went down. Obviously, it started with this moment right here that was so impressive. They laid a perfect trap. They read this team like a book. They were able to pick up a full wipe. Fallen, of course, being menaces on the map. I believe they were able to pick up at least 3, if not 4 total kills. That's gonna be like 1.2 just in kill value. And then the fight right here, we caught the kind of tail end of this fight. A huge fight for Les Durants to be able to win out inside of the Tower of Babel, win the POI, get a ton of loot. And then it came down to the fight over the airdrop, Tiff.
Yeah, and I love that Fallen was trying to set up to make this happen, but when you've got Starbucks, you're kind of just going down the staircase, hiding his body from Fallen, and just focusing on getting the airdrop. That's going to make such a difference. We've already talked about that. We'll see what that does in match number 4. But Fallen sending another player on out early, I think, was really vital to them, right? Because it allowed them to go on the aggressive front and kind of chalk some other players' games, right? Deny them the ability. Then they're racking up more kills, like you already mentioned. I believe it was closer to 5. So that's a massive number. I believe it's like, what, 1.5 mil just in value in terms of taking down your enemies. Like, I love it.
Great caster map there, Tiff. Yeah,
I was nervous. My brain was like, did I get this right? We did it.
A lot of loot value just from getting kills. Absolutely. Fallen, perfectly executed to play spoiler. The question is, who's going to stay at the top of the leaderboard? Well, it's not really a question. We know it's Les Durants. Who's going to be in second? Perry, a great map. Going into our second MandelBrick round with an AWM. Woo, watch out for Perry. They could even the tides. They could potentially even leapfrog to first place. You're not going to want to miss it. Our first Space City map, our second MandelBrick round. It could end all right here if Les Durants win this map and get the brick again. Don't miss it. Get ready for some action. We're going to take a very short break here in the booth. Welcome back, Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers EU Regional Finals, and here's our Match 3 leaderboard. As expected, Paris at the top just in this last map. 7 million map again. A great map for them, Tiff. Obviously, the AWM helping out in that category and loot value. Able to use that in the next one, but later on, with only one player, I believe, getting out of the lobby, it's actually not a bad scoreline for them. They must have had some sizable loot in their safe boxes.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's all about that. Not only because this is where things are going to get shaken up. But before we get there, we'll talk about that later. I love that Perry, yet again, on these non-MandelBrick rounds are finding a lot of success. They're getting these airdrops. They're getting the quality loot. They're finding a ton of red items. And not only that, but they're getting significant value from fights. The issue with them is finding the same success on a MandelBrick round. They went out pretty early in match number 2 and didn't really get what they wanted out of that. But they do still have 3 more chances as we seek on our final MandelBrick rounds. And I can say the same thing for No Game No Life. MandelBrick Addiction can't really get things rolling into some of these matches. It's like as if these teams are just constantly catching them off guard. So some minor mistakes that need to be tightened up as we look towards the overall leaderboard. When you want to get to LAN, you have to be perfect, and it has to start now.
Yeah, there are no other stages. There are no second chances. You've got to get to LAN in this event right now. Les Girons could close it out right here. They're in first because of their MandelBrick, but still have a sizable amount of loot as well at over 10 million. Paris, top of the loot category, second on our leaderboard, fallen close behind. Less than 4 million spread between the two. This is anybody's game at the top. But here's the thing about this format that I love. YJK in last, unfortunately having a tough tournament. They get a brick right here. They're top 2, potentially making it to China. That's how important these MandelBricks are. This is going to be a banger of a first map on Space City, Tiff.
Ooh, now I'm so excited, right? And I'm excited for the teams that are finding themselves not in a solid position, right? No Game No Life, YJK, they're going to come out swinging because this is really a go for broke situation as you start to think about where we are, where we're going. And if you want to find yourself on a plane ride straight to China to compete for $500,000, then you've got to tighten up on Space City. And we know how difficult this can be when you think about some of those semi-regional finals that we were witnessing just last weekend in terms of those decoding stations. A lot of people love heading over to dormitory building, and it is not fun. If you're kind of waiting after kind of hitting the decode station, you anchor on down. There's multiple passageways that we see teams take from that side of things. But I've also seen people get there early, camp it out, and I want to see more of that.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, I really expect to see a lot of recon operators in this one. You've got to have information in your hands. You don't fall into that trap in game 3 if you have some information gathering tools at your disposal. That team got obliterated by the setup from Perry. Here's a look, by the way, at the operator selects that are left. See several operators off the table going into game 4. Tiff, talk to me about what you're seeing. Any key factors? I mean, the one thing I'm noticing, Perry is the only team yet to use Seneva. There is not going to be a Seneva operator left on this map except Perry.
So here's the deal. And if they bring in a Seneva and they know that no one else has Seneva available, then that just kind of puts the bullseye straight onto Perry. You say, I know exactly where that team is. And if they're working towards taking them out and trying to maximize their value to leapfrog over them and play for second, then that's exactly what you've got to do. Take Perry down. But if you want to make sure that you have a fighting chance in this, get the MandelBrick. Do not let Les Girons de la Test end this here in the 4th map.
Here we go. First time on Space City. We're playing Space City till the tourney's over. It could be this map. It could be map 6. As per the usual, only time will tell. Les Girons, the world is their oyster. They have the advantage. They can play for this brick, or they could choose to play spoiler. Whatever they decide to do, it doesn't matter. If they win this map, they win it all. Here we go. We can see the spawn points. Look at the right-hand side of your screen on the map view. We see MandelBrick Addiction getting really active already, scooting down towards this MandelBrick, trying to play kind of this northeastern building at test range before moving up towards the middle of the map to pick up this brick. And Fallen also posturing for the middle of the map. Les Girons on your screen, playing nice and slow on the eastern seaboard, if you will. Potentially holding Perry. Top 2 teams could fight yet again, not even around the brick.
That's interesting. And if you've got the spawn, no game, no life, over by dormitory building, this is kind of what I'm talking about, right? Because you have the opportunity to get there through the employee passage or Westgate, right? And if knowing that when we see Fallen or a MandelBrick addicts, whoever grabs that, usually they decide to go dormitory building. Of course, Black Chamber is much closer, but it's typically going to be easily accessed by all the people on that eastern side of the map. So I think people do favor that dormitory building decode station, and honestly, I would love, I said that, but I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, this is going to be a fight over this MandelBrick for sure. Lesterant's playing extremely slow here. They have not moved once. Well, MandelBrick Addiction on your screen and Fallen on your screen are the ones posturing for the MandelBrick, like I said. Central Command is YJK should they choose to take it. Everybody playing extremely slow right now. Reminder, I'm going to keep saying this because I swear you're going to get jump scared by it. Star Baxter has the AWM on this map. They're going to be playing some of these long sight lines. Watch out for that sniper.
I'm ready. I'm watching out for it. I'm loving it. But we do have some time before that MandelBrick does spawn there. We'll see who's going to be the first person to go ahead and grab it. I respect the patience from Legerant de Lattès. They don't have to be the first person to grab the MandelBrick. They just have to be ready to steal it. Now, there was a ton of Lunas left when we were looking at that operator selection and what had been already used. So, of course, bringing those into the mix. You've got Nox now locking into the Stinger. You have a smoke that's going to be there. They're bringing in an engineer as well that's going to have a lot of those traps, those frag grenades. And you come on over to MandelBrick Addiction and look what they've got. A nice setup. Bringing in the Luna as well. You've got the detection arrow. You can constantly hit those lineups and make sure you gather all the info so that you can capitalize on this.
5 seconds left on this MandelBrick being able to be grabbed. There it is. MandelBrick spotted. You can grab it. Let's see if anybody makes an early move towards it. Fallen, I believe, has an angle to look at it right now. Well, MandelBrick addicts are maybe the first one's going to be moving towards it. Here's the first look. Yes, there is an angle, and they know it. Fallen spotted on the other side. So we're going to back off and potentially approach this fight from a different angle altogether. Don't want to trade out of life when we don't have to. We're not really up against the clock at all. We just got started. And because of that, we watched them back off. Fallen has grabbed the MandelBrick and already swung back to the facility. We always talk about the quad area, the middle of this Space City map. Basically 4 buildings. You've got each of the 4 corners in this quad that you can play from. But right now, Nox about to place. Are you kidding me? There's no way. Nox prone inside of this shack, trades out 1. Unfortunately, can't get a second, and Zap is just a hair too late to the fight. So it is going to be a 2v2. A couple well-placed nades could change things. And nope, just well-placed shots. Vlad from a distance finds another. It's going to be a 2v1. Perry back against the wall. Their main competition in trouble. Legerants about to take down the team in second place. About to send Perry back to the lobby if they win this 2v1.
Something about Perry and a MandelBrick round just cannot get things moving. They are going to be your first team out of here. And Legerants de Lattès, they are going to get that regain. And that is perfectly done for what they need. But you have to start thinking about it this way. When Fallen has already decided to maybe work towards that decoding station, where did they choose to go? That is where you have to keep tabs on, because we do have no game, no life that's been situated over at dormitory. They never left. And I don't believe it went there.
Oh, this is such a big win for Legerants. Fallen, of course, they've already started the decoding, like you just mentioned. I mean, they are on the MandelBrick. They're already decoding it. They've set up for this. But that fight feels almost more important just because that's the team that already has a MandelBrick. Now, if they want to, they can come play for this and potentially try to win. It doesn't look like they're moving right now. So Fallen is going to play setup, and it's still going to be the MandelBrick addicts that are trying to play this fight. All 3 together as one. I like this push from them. They're able to swing up together. As long as they don't line up for Fleric, who has 1v3'd. Should be able to pick him off and make it a 3v2 on top of the brick. 2 minutes on the clock.
Nah, he's ready for war at this point. Like, we are going to get into it. And this is one of those angles that we were witnessing through a lot of our competitions. First kind of spawning in the Delta Force Global League. You got frags. They're kind of looking to open the fight. Fleric takes a bit of damage and is forced to back on out. But one thing that you can do is start investing more of those frag grenades to really section it out. Now, if they know he's there, they're going to try and assume where he's going to go to reposition. But Fallen's going to give that info to his teammates and be like, hey, I'm going to need your help here. I know we're decoding. I know there's about a minute 40 left. But we're about to be sieged.
This is big. It's like Legerance. They're picking up that Lapua ammo that was not in a safe box, it looks like, off screen. But this is what we care about. MandelBrick addicts have made their way to the MandelBrick. They've stolen the MandelBrick and reset the timer to 3.5 minutes. Not make or break, but it does give us a little bit more time on the clock to play for. As they're burning and running, they're going to back all the way off. Likely going to be a re-steal here from Fallen if they are bold enough to make a play for it.
All good, though. They can keep transferring it back and forth. You even have NGNL that's starting to lurk down there. You can see them kind of opening their pathway into this, right? We have to crawl up that walkway past the truck to get into it, but Fallen has not extended out to look for the steal. Would love to see that happen, but here's the deal. At least we do have the gold armor, the gold helm, gold ammo. So not only does MandelBrick Addiction have that, but they also have that on Fallen. So a relatively even matchup in terms of the fight. But what is No Game, No Life gonna bring?
For now, they're gonna bring patience. They're playing the outside of this quad. Quad that I'm talking about is Black Chamber, facility, all these 4 buildings in the area. Traditionally, we see teams kind of hold down a building a piece. That's what we're seeing right now. MandelBrick Addiction, Northwest, Fallen Southwest, YJK Northeast in this quad, all connected. It's MandelBrick Addiction with the brick currently. They just don't have eyes on it. It's a very interesting decoding station that we've seen time and time again in these competitions. There's Fallen going in for the steal. They'll get it for free. It's going to be reset here to 3 minutes on the clock. There it is. It's such an interesting decoding station because it's technically out in the open between all 4 of these buildings, but on the technical west side, if you will, of the quad. So it's usually these 2 buildings when you're seeing MandelBrick Addiction and Fallen take over that just kind of trade back and forth, stealing the brick. As per the usual, we do see our boss on the map finding the better of a player. Sure, they'll get the revive on that. Don't worry. Legerance maybe losing a player for now. They'll get picked back up. The sniper on this map is a little bit menacing.
It really do be like that. Look, last time we saw someone got taken out by the crocodile, so like anything could happen here on the main broadcast. But for now, we're looking towards that next steal with just 2 minutes left on the decode, and every team in the lobby is starting to descend on the decoding station. Aside from Legerance du Latesse, they're the ones that are just going to get that revive up on Nox, who is the teammate that fell from the boss. They'll be a little delayed maybe on this push here, but time is of the essence, right? We're at that halfway mark. So this is where we're gonna have to start getting into it.
Yeah, it's gotta be extremely frustrating if you're Perry to just have to sit the sidelines and watch this encounter. But here we go. MandelBrick Addiction gonna go for this steal again. They smoke the point. Fallen does have an angle from the doorway, and you've in trouble. No. A well-placed incendiary is gonna burn him down, and they didn't get the steal, and that's actually a full. That is extremely fortunate if you're Fallen, using all of your resources to protect this one. Now, MandelBrick Addiction does steal it back. It's gonna reset to 2.5. It's gonna go down 30 seconds every time, and Fallen wiping MandelBrick Addiction. They may have the decode for now, but a trading of blows goes to the side of Fallen as No Game, No Life comes in for the third party. Unfortunately, there isn't really a third party to be had. There's just 4 parties now with YJK getting into it. This is a wild fight.
It's just going to keep on going back and forth like this. YJK, of course, you got your Luna, you got your detection arrows, so you can find that information, but we're just lobbing these frag grenades straight over towards YJK, and we're waiting for the cooldown on our incendiaries to be back up and available to use. And no game, no life, they really can't get into this corridor towards the decoding station until we see maybe YJK dealt with. But as soon as this happens, this is allowing Fallen to kind of just back off into the building, maybe hit a regain before they decide to come on out. Because right now, MandelBrick addicts are the one that are going to basically be waiting for the decoding. But they're down, they're out of this lobby, and it doesn't matter. It would not count if they were able to finish decoding it. So someone has to steal it back.
Yeah, somebody's got to steal it back, or it's off the map and no one will get it. It's actually a really good shout. No game, no life. They may be new to this format. They're actually the only team that is new to this format. They qualified through a different format, but they're coming in and getting into the mix. They've actually made it through the smoke for the steal. Someone will get this brick most likely. I don't know if it'll be no game, no life or one of these other teams, but YJK trying to get into the mix, trying to play it more aggressive. They play up near the decoding station now. Fallen doesn't have an angle to overlook on this because they're getting held out this door by no game, no life. Unfortunately, it looks like no game, no life. They've lost the player. We could see a swing here. But a nice hold so far.
Well, you see a steal right there from YJK. Set the timer to 1 minute and 30. And what they've done is they've moved on up and they are just playing for no game, no life. If it's a 3v2 in this, you just have to keep tabs on making sure Fallen isn't going to jump out of the building. And look at how quickly they dealt with NGNL. Brilliantly done by them. But now, next matter of business, Fallen.
No game, no life, unfortunately, out of this lobby. And unfortunately, Fallen comes in to play cleanup. Third party galore. Fallen yet again with another team wipe. A massive moment for them as they steal back the brick. And all of the sudden, this lobby went from full to empty. Fallen all alive. Their only competition is the team that could end this tournament. Legérants, they don't have a lot of time. I don't even know if they're going to move this way or not. But if they do, it'll be a 3v3 for the tourney. A fight that Fallen has to win.
Why do I feel like they're not even worried about it?
Yeah.
I think that they're going to do the extract and get on out of here. Respectable, because they do have a lot of assets that they were able to obtain through this map. So they're kind of hedging their bets, because if you think about it this way, Fallen, with that decode that'll happen in less than 50 seconds, how much asset value did they have coming into this? Because now that there's two different teams with the potential for MandelBricks, you have to make sure that that kind of total asset value aside from MandelBricks is high enough to get you into the top two, because there's still two MandelBricks on the board after this.
This is a very interesting strategy. Obviously, a huge boon if you're Fallen. Winning that fight, playing patient, staying inside when the battle ensues, and then peekabooing out the door to wipe YJK. Perfectly executed from Fallen. And a tall task, frankly, to do so. There were so many teams converging on your point, and they played it perfectly to get the brick and join this team, Legérants, at the top of the leaderboard. Fallen, your second team to get a MandelBrick. A team that will assuredly be in the top two because of it. Legérants, I think it's a good way to put it, hedging their bets. They're essentially saying, hey, we don't need to risk the tournament because we're playing for top two. If there was only one spot to land, maybe we push for that. But since there's two spots to land, and we've already potentially got a spot near the top of the leaderboard, let's play for more loot value just in case another team picks up a brick in some of the final rounds. They don't surpass us. I like this play from them.
I do too, honestly. Things are just starting to get heated up here in the regional finals, and I cannot believe that we are working through our Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers. We are so close to LAN. It is insane, and our teams are working their way ever so closely. MandelBrick by MandelBrick, but man, Perry sitting back and watching this, it's gotta be tough.
Yeah, brutal map for Perry. A brutal map for, frankly, everybody. I mean, look at that. After all that work, YJK end up with nothing in this map. Sure, they'll get some map compensation, some losers compensation, some kills compensation. They did pick up several kills. But still got to be so frustrating. MandelBrick addiction. Played it pretty well as well. They were the ones, you know, this time, unfortunately. Say this a lot. Fortune favors the bold. Not this time. They're the ones that planted this MandelBrick originally and get punished for it, unfortunately. Everybody chooses this decoding station because very close to where you pick up the MandelBrick, frankly. And the other one's not too much better, but this one is so difficult. Like, feels like a coin flip because it's out in the open like this.
Love that we're just kind of maximizing what we can use. Now, I was thinking about it this way. We know Perry brought in the AWM, right? Does that mean later on did the test? Not only did they find all these asset values, they got some kills when they initially took down Perry, but they probably were able to pilfer that and are just focusing on getting that on out and playing with it on the next game.
It's exactly right. We saw that Lapu ammo. We will see them all get out via the rocket. They're going to head out of this map nice and quick. And wow, okay, we got some great assets. We're picking up reds in the rocket storage pod. Come on. So far, so good for this team. Some nice loot value there. We'll see this team get out via the rocket. Congrats to this team. I mean, they're getting out on just this map alone 9 million, by the way. There's a reason they're playing for this extract. And with the AWM, that definitely came into the equation for why they're doing what they're doing right now.
Pew pew.
Trying to conserve all the resources, take down the machine gunner with as few bullets as possible, but they're going to get out via the rocket. Their opponents, Fallen trying to get out as well, but these two teams, absolutely the teams at the top, Fallen getting the MandelBrick, Restaurants getting a lot of loot, an AWM, some ammo for it. They're going to have a nice advantage going into the next round. See you later. Out of the map. 2 minutes on the clock for Fallen to get out as well.
See where they're going to be heading on over towards in terms of their extract point. You see it's just ahead of them. No two worries here for Fallen. A sizable game for them. Not only do you get the MandelBrick, but you got about 8 million in assets obtained.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of looting, what, 80% of the lobby? I mean, they basically looted, you know, whatever 4 times 3 is, 12 boxes.
There you go.
We're able to put it all together. There you go. Yeah, obviously did a really good job. They don't know that they're the only team left, technically. They think maybe Belligerants could be camping this, so they're going to play this nice and slow. But overall, I think just to kind of recap this map, I was really impressed with Fallen's patience. I say that often. I think Operations sometimes gets the knack for like, oh, they play so slow. No, they're playing strategic. And Fallen played it slow and strategic, and they get a win like this. I mean, good grief. They're trying to earn a spot to land, and they're doing a really good job of it. There's a reason that they won the semifinals you guys watched. Just a really strong team, and right now, they're a top 2 team. We'll see what happens in the next map, though.
Look, that's what I'm saying. We're on Space City till the very end. 2 more MandelBricks with the potential to go, and 2 teams that could end it all on match number 5. But for the teams that went out early in match number 4, you have got to play to perfection. We cannot allow any of these jump scares. I'm talking people that are just catching 1 or 2 players off guard. We need all the information we can get, all of the asset value, and play for the chance to get to land, because it's going to be one for the history books, and we want to see you there.
Yeah, want to see you there, and I'm really excited to see who's at the top. I'd love to look back on this map, though, and see all the highlights, because there certainly were a ton of them, especially around that MandelBrick. As per the usual, when the MandelBrick gets put in the decoding station, all hell breaks loose. Let's take a look back on that as every team collapsed on the point, aside from the team that already had a MandelBrick. But it started with, of course, MandelBrick Addiction swinging over and grabbing the MandelBrick. Here's the first fight, though. Nox said peekaboo yet again. This time, the hunter becomes the hunted, as Perry had laid the trap last time. Lesurance did a bit of revenge and laid the trap this time, wiping Perry out of the lobby, and that's probably one of the reasons that they said, oh, we're actually good with getting out of this map. We've got an AWM. Yeah, I don't really care. Let's get our loot up, let's get our money up, and let's get out. But here's the fight. MandelBrick Addiction were jockeying for position. They didn't really have a home when it came to the late game of this fight, and because of that, they get punished by YJK. YJK swing over as well, wiping no game, no life. They've got a lot of kills, but Fallen patiently lies in wait and then wins the gunfight, finds the off-angle, player advantage, wipes everybody, and get the brick and get out of the lobby. A huge map for Fallen. Overall, a gigantic win for them to get a ton of loot value, get the brick, and get out. It's just a huge, huge map, and excited to see what our leaderboard looks like here in a little bit, Tiff.
I'm gonna hit you with a ×2 on that because that's all that I can think about, because it's like we have got to have so many teams so close on that leaderboard, and with the potential for Legérance et Letesse or Fallen to end the entire tournament early on match number 5, you have to make sure that you are focused on up, but you have to have a MandelBrick if you want to find yourself inside the top 2 at the point, and that is the bottom line.
That is the bottom line. Gotta get a MandelBrick if you want a chance to head to China. Folks, we're gonna head to a very short break here in the booth. Game 5 could be the last game. If Fallen, Legérance, they pick up the MandelBrick, game's over. We could go to Game 6, though. You're not gonna wanna miss it. I'm sure it's gonna be intense. We'll be right back here in just a moment.
Begging for mercy. How pitiful.
Breaking us to pieces. Try too hard to stay up. Oh, what a mess we made.
Hey operators, welcome to the Delta Force Summer Festival. This summer, we've prepared a series of special events for our overseas players. First up, starting July 9th, the bi-weekly Summer Challenge officially begins. You can earn October Challenge points by using specific operators in Warfare or Operations. And here's a sneak peek at the upcoming operator schedule for Summer Challenge. In the Summer Challenge store, you can exchange 600 Operator Challenge points or Tempest spray paint or name card, 800 Operator Challenge points for the summer-themed avatar or calling card. Now, let's talk about the Summer Pass, which is available from July 9 to August 7. Just play matches across both modes and accumulate playtime to claim the SV98 Forest Hunter appearance, plus 20 armament voucher draws. And starting from the second week, Special Accelerated Quest will help you level up your Summer Pass faster. But that's not all. From July 25 to August 14, complete concurrent warfare events to earn naval battle medals, which you can exchange for naval battle-themed vehicle appearances at the Navy Blue store. That's all for the Delta Force Summer Festival preview. More events and rewards await in the new season break, available from July 9.
Welcome back to the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers EU Regional Finals, and it's been a banger thus far and a nearly even map on paper. This is our match 4 leaderboard between Fallen and Legérance. I will say though, that MandelBrick coming in clutch for Fallen to jump frog, leapfrog over the top of Perry, who had a brutal map, losing out on almost 3 million from their early untimely deaths.
Yeah, that's not what they were expecting, but this is kind of that ebb and flow that we've been witnessing from Perry. There are still 2 opportunities for them to make it and kind of really tighten up on this, but to have both MandelBrick matches that we've had thus far just go out like this, it's difficult. Same with MandelBrick Addiction, right? They knew exactly what they were doing. They were putting up a nice fight. They even hit some steals on that Decode, but it cost them 2.2 mil. And now you have to see, okay, what do we have in terms of our loadout? How much do we have to play for? Because we basically have 2 more chances to secure our ticket to LAN.
Yeah, 2 more chances, maybe, right? Could be over here in the next one. But here's the look at our overall leaderboard, and good grief, Fallen has made a gigantic jump. 26 million in total assets, plus a MandelBrick. It actually puts Legérance as the team that could potentially get knocked out pending this next one. Obviously, if Perry picks up the MandelBrick with a 10 million plus, could jump them. This is so insanely close. And I think if I'm Legérance, I think what they did last map was a good thing. I think it was the right play. I think it's the safer play. But I wonder, Tiff, I mean, pending how these next 2 games go, they could be looking back on this broadcast and going, oh man, what if we just would have played for that MandelBrick in a 3v3?
There's always a what if, right? That is what I'm saying. If there's that what if, we have the potential for 2 matches, but we're not guaranteed that. Fallen from semifinals A last weekend, they were a team that got 2 MandelBricks that shut it down. And this performance that we're already witnessing from them, I would say is better, right? I think they were able to end the semi-regional finals with about 15 million, just under, maybe like 14.9, right? And 2 MandelBricks. We're at 1 MandelBrick with 26 mil. So this is pretty flawless. Legérance et Letez, you can never count them out. We've seen some crazy holds out of them in terms of decoding. But as we seek to our last 2 matches here on Space City, both with MandelBricks, you know who I'm calling to have a comeback, Goj? MandelBrick Addiction.
Yeah, obviously won semifinals B. They've been winning a lot of scrims. Just had a really rough go of it today thus far. But it's still technically anybody's game for the most part. But we are running out of runway as per the usual. You might not have a rocket extraction this time around, depending on the way it goes. But we are headed back to Space City. Map 5 is here. The stakes couldn't be higher. So let's take a quick look at what operators we will see on this map. So Legérance has yet to use Seneva. Kind of been the story of the day. Hardly anybody using Nox. Tiff, anything else you're seeing here? I'm seeing no stingers for Legérance and YJK, which could be come back to maybe bite them based on the amount of smokes they need.
Yeah, this is tough for MandelBrick Addiction. You've burned both of your opportunities to use Luna, and you didn't really get any value out of it. Sure, you've got the Hat Claw, right? You could find some sort of information associated with that, so we'll likely go ahead and focus on bringing them in. You also don't have any Seneva, and Seneva has been really powerful in terms of our Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers, and a lot of teams don't have that access to him. Legérance et Letez, they've got 2 there for the last couple rounds. If they even decide to bring Seneva in, you have to be able to flex and adapt based on what you're seeing. And for now, we're just kind of getting into the remnants of what we have left, which really isn't a lot. But the only thing that we need to focus on right now is getting to that MandelBrick.
The stakes couldn't be higher, folks. Game 5 is here, and we're starting out hot. Take a look at our map view. The first 2 teams that can interact yet again. 2 of the teams near the top no longer 1 and 2, as Fallen has become 1. Is now 2 and 3. Legérance see Perry from a distance. Perry is running away. By the way, Fallen Central Command building is there, and they found rocket fuel for 1.5 mil. Sure, it takes up a crazy amount of space in your inventory, but for a team that's already at the top of the leaderboard, they're likely going to adopt the strategy that Legérance just did in the last map. Fallen doesn't have to play for this brick. They have so much loot value on the table. It is very unlikely they get knocked out of a top 2 position unless one of these other teams pick up 2 MandelBricks.
See, that's what you got to focus up on. Just get your loot value up. Let's say someone completely different picks up a MandelBrick. As long as your loot value is greater, you're solid. You can deal with it there towards the end, but we're already getting into some early action, and it's all going down the same place we saw that initial fight in match number 4 between Legeron, Dilates, and Perry. This time, completely different teams, and well, they've already got that opening knock. But for NGNL, you've got Pika here on your screen, locked into the Stinger that might be looking for a potential reset. Can we go ahead and get that? You want to have your Stinger out there focusing on the resets just based on the toolkit, but Yak up here gets peppered. There's some nice shots coming on the other side.
The team that I had the most question marks around was this No Game, No Life team, because they're the only team, I believe, in the competition that hasn't participated, at least in an official broadcast, on this format. Everybody else had to go through qualifiers for this format. They were in Season 0 way back when. I'm sure they've been competing a ton and playing a ton. And unfortunately lost one, but they were able to get the revive back, so they should be fine. Are seeing a Luna come in for them, and a Stinger. This is a pretty typical for Space City. Stingers, extra smokes, extremely valuable for some of these extremely long sight lanes. Look at the one we're watching right now. Luna, information gatherer. I'd expect on some of these other teams, they all had a Viren left. I'd expect to see at least a Viren. Couple Virens between the rest of these teams. Either way, it's just trying not to give up position right now. By the way, off screen, 30 seconds before that MandelBrick can be picked up. Here's a look at it. Production is on top of it. Perry set up in the facility. You've got MandelBrick Addiction back where they were before. In the test site, top right, northeastern corner. Looks like actually a fight happening, so we're going to swap over there. Perry loses 2?
Stop.
What angle?
This is not good. A crazy one, to be said. At least you do have your Luna last standing. You keep that information flowing, but it's not like we're in a good position. Can we hit this reset off? We pick up our body, we bring him up. Sometimes those auto tanks that are going to be lurking will make things difficult, but MandelBrick Addiction, not only were they reaping scrims, they were one of the biggest threats coming into this, right? We thought that was going to be the case, but the first 4 matches really haven't gone their way. Immediately after picking up that MandelBrick, everything gets sent out, and look at that angle. We are seeing some pokes coming on in, but you know what? We get on out, we start our objective, we need to hit the decoding station to set up.
It's showing in our kill feed that Stickinson was wiped by the boss.
Happens.
I think the auto tank just came in and cleaned him up, or maybe the sniper cleaned him up. I do think the kill will technically go towards MandelBrick Addiction, as they had set up a better angle. I wonder, we didn't see the first part of that fight. I wonder if Perry maybe had set up a trap again where they were split, and they were able to just find it. Here's the other decoding station, though. This is the other one that, again, Space City, both of the decoding stations are so interesting because you basically can't camp them. There's not an angle you can hold that just stares at them without being out in the open. And so MandelBrick Addiction, they plant it, and then they're going to run upstairs in this building and play from high ground to potentially get some information on teams trying to address this position from the outside. They're going to be able to look down on this, get some info. Perry, again, down to 2. They've picked up their 3rd, but a reminder that Stickinson has hit yellow respawn, which means if Stickinson goes down again, we'll be out of this lobby without anybody able to get him back.
Quite tough, but we're about to hit that 3 minutes. That's all right, though. YJK, they're taking up that same position that we saw Legeron Dilates do that in match number 4. The only difference here is YJK doesn't have a MandelBrick, and LGDT did. Fallen, kind of rotating there through the printing room, working their way down. But the real issue is between Perry and MandelBrick Addictions. These are the 2 teams that are going to need to contend. They need a decode successfully. But who is going to kind of open that up initially? Because if you give them too much time to focus and be able to scout, you can use a lot of that bulletproof glass and those angles to make that happen. But oh my God, look, let me just tell you, that auto tank is doing work on Perry.
Yeah, what is happening? Perry in an utter blender as Starbaxter goes down. No problem. Starbaxter wasn't the player that got knocked earlier. Or full knocked into yellow timers, so should be able to get him back up, no problem. Should have a full team of 3. Oh, wait, no, maybe he also went full down. Wait, we've lost Star Baxter. Yeah, that's an X, not a plus, which means Star Baxter is not getting back into this lobby. Oh, no. Just a brutal map for them. They haven't been getting anything going since our very first map of the day. That's so unfortunate.
It is a MandelBrick curse for them. All of the lobbies they've done well in were the airdrops. From here on out, it has just been tough. So Stickinson here, they're just kind of trying to make way, deal with some of those map fatals. But as long as they stay away from the tanks, they're fine, right?
Yeah, well, I certainly would. But they're going to play the high ground here. MandelBrick Addiction, perfect setup on the inside here. You're going to see Stickinson get cut down if he's not careful. He knows Skydie's on the other side, but he hasn't peeked left yet. We've got one member of MandelBrick Addiction holding this cross. Here we go. Skydie's got the front angle. It's Yuval with the off angle. If they push out, he's going to try to bait them here. Yuval should pick up a 1v2, and Perry will be full wipe. Now, it looks like some shots maybe were fired from Yuval. They might have spotted him. I'd love to see his perspective. Oh, just kidding. Bye-bye. Didn't spot him. Yuval with the two-piece. Yuval with another team wipe. Perry out of this lobby.
And less than a minute to go before they lock it in with that decode and put themselves on the board with Legend Siletes and Fallen, thus making that match number 6 one of the craziest games that we will get to win to send ourselves to the Delta Force Invitational in China, right? We are just getting that much closer. And I don't think one of our teams, both of our teams that have MandelBricks are going to do anything about this here today.
Now, I thought Yuval was just proned out on the ground. We learned something new today. I know you guys learned some stuff in the semifinals, some crazy jump spots. I've never seen that one. The YY ladder stall. Basically, at the top of the ladder, play the lip like that. That's insane. By the way, 10 seconds for MandelBrick Addiction. Nobody can get here in time. It's a freebie. A great call out, and you can see No Game No Life is sprinting towards the objective. It's just too late. MandelBrick Addiction. Tiff, you called it perfectly. You asked them to step up. You said, we've been waiting for you. What's going on? And they said, how about now, folks? How now, brown cow? We've got it. Great book, by the way.
I love this. I don't know if I just have this level of just the ability to see the future, but I think it's working. It started a couple days ago, Goj, when we were on a different broadcast, and now it's here today. I'm manifesting all the things, and this time it went towards MandelBrick Addiction. So, can they get their loot value up now? Because, sure, you got a MandelBrick, but then you have to think about the total assets, and you were at the bottom of the leaderboard coming into this. So you did get the main currency, but we did get a flash of it, right? You're still dealing with Fallen and LGDT, and they're both up north of 20 million.
Yeah, this is really interesting. We'll get into some of the minutia between games. With the MandelBrick off the map right now, it's all about loot value. It's all about wiping other teams right now. You're now playing for total loot. So the ranking metric, of course, MandelBrick. But with 3 teams now having a MandelBrick, all different teams, with a single MandelBrick, it's going to come down to loot value. MandelBrick Addiction, like you said, at the bottom end of that category. So they need to stay on this map. There's no reason to get out. They need to stay on this map, wipe these teams, and get as much loot as humanly possible. They've got 2.6 right now, which isn't bad. Nobody else has hardly anything to show for this map alone. But this map's still an important one, even though the MandelBrick is already out of here.
You need to get out with as much value as humanly possible. And so far, all 3 of them being alive, it's going to be nice. You could still go through, take some nice fights, get 300k per player. We'll see what we'll do there. But for YJK, NG, NL, your job would be to prevent everyone else from getting that loot value up. So if I'm doing that, you gotta take down LGDT and you gotta take down Fallen.
Skydie finds the angle, and I think it actually hits that. Shock Arrow should either bring them down or get them extremely low. Maybe just tag the wall behind them. They've got a lot of utility here. And oh my gosh, Ravioli serving up an Italian dinner. Good gosh. Somehow wins that fight, forcing MandelBrick Addiction to back off. Ravioli just turned and burned. It's gonna be a 3v2, but they're on low ground, still in a disadvantageous position.
Doesn't matter. He had the Formioli, and he is going straight through it. And look at this, a little Luna action. We're going to send some of their Volt Arrows and some shoulder peaks. They're connecting, but it's Pika that's going to go down. Buldo able to time that properly, and we're just going to keep on threading forward. Frag grenades galore, but you know what? Who had this angle last time? It was Yuval, and he was a menace with it, but they're going to peek together. Give you the power of the numbers. Going through, but can't make it happen. Ravioli was really focusing on trying to hit a revive, and everything is going wrong for NGNL. One player left standing.
It's a great retake, but look who's third-partying this. YJK says, we want a piece of the action as per the usual. Coming into third party from the low ground. They don't want to overextend here. Yuval's actually able to clean up Ravioli with the grenade. No game, no life with one player remaining and hardly an iota of health. Two teams pinching them. MandelBrick Addiction down to 2 players. One able to be revived later. It's going to be YJK coming into third party as no game, no life out of this lobby. A nice cleanup with the Sonic Trap.
Well, here we go. Buldo.
Run.
Yeah, and they're staying together. But honestly, maybe pulling them into this, right, would be interesting. Because you can throw down the traps. You can control the narrative here of this fight. Because mind you, every kill they pick up, which, by the way, they've got 6 of them, is worth 300K. And the only thing they're doing right now is just climbing up the leaderboard slowly but surely. But if you got a D-Wolf on the other side, a triple blaster in a hallway can be menacing, but so far hasn't done too much. They go ahead and get the res on a Skydie, and they're making it a 3v3.
Yeah, they heard the res timer going off. The ding of the dinner bell for a team trying to push up while a team member is busy getting the revive. Unfortunately, couldn't get there fast enough. But now it's a true 3v3. And it looks like there's another team in the distance, Fallen. They're in a different building. They're not going to engage in this fight for now. They could come up and play maybe a third party. Probably not. Probably just going to play cleanup at the end of whoever comes out on top of this fight. I think MandelBrick Addiction is going to play this really slow and smart, frankly. The fact they were able to get the body all the way back, get the revive, and not lose anything for it is a huge, huge boon. Very well executed.
And we're just poised, holding angles. But for MandelBrick Addiction, they're out. We are getting out of this area. Now we have to focus on extraction and what that's going to look like for us with just over 6 minutes left in the map. For Fallen, you know, well, folks, prods. This area of the map has been so detrimental to a lot of our players early, specifically Perry, right? Those tanks, brutal.
A quick look at our map view here. Found some decent loot on main. It's a nice little 471,000 there. But on our map view, you can see what's been happening. Obviously, these are the 3 teams that are potentially going to be fighting. Fallen, the slower of the 3, haven't been a part of the action yet. Legirants, they did not engage with this MandelBrick. MandelBrick Addiction got it first and for free, basically, after wiping Perry. And I thought they were just going to play this extraction point over at Test Workshop. I think smartly, they're getting into the action. They know they need to start fighting. They can't play too slow. And all of a sudden, Fallen has opened things up. They found the top angle, the top ropes, taking down 2 members of YJK. The third nowhere to be seen. As we set up these levers to take the rocket extraction out. We are running out of daylight. We do want to get out of this lobby, if at all possible.
And there we go. Just under 4 minutes on the helicopter extract. They're likely going to play for that. But their issue is we've already got a team situated on it. Not only were they working on kind of barricading over by that horizontal test workshop, the backpack extract, now they've moved forward now that the levers have been extracted to make sure that we're going to play for that. YJK, though, coming back with a bit of a vengeance. And now HR and Fleric are going to be the last 2 players from Fallen. Trying to hit a reset, trying to play for this. And even so, not going to be the only teams here contending for this fight.
Holy cow. Last remaining member of the YJK squad is picking up some value here. Reminder, that's a full kill. Yes, they get the revive, but it's a full kill. That's 300K. I mean, we take those, especially when you're a solo against a full team of 3. Nice trade there. Great shot, by the way. Helicopter extract. We will not have time for the rocket extract. You can see that on the left by the mini-map. Legirant's getting into the mix as well, playing on this low side, south side of the map, playing closest to the extract here. technically power position, but not when you lose a player to Fallen, an overextension and a peak and a cleanup. NHR picking up 1, and now Fallen has the advantage, although Legérance had the position.
Oh, now we all want to get out of here, especially MandelBrick Addiction, right? 4.2 million obtained throughout this. We've got to send some players on out. Said they're going to grab a knock onto Nox. LGDT, granted, they didn't pick up a ton from this map. They're just kind of trying to hold on, and they decided maybe we can ruin some other people's games as we seek towards match number 6, but into the foliage we go. Sonic paralysis, it's going to be difficult to work around, but we have to hold steady. A ton of time left on this extraction point. What is it going to take for us to get on out?
I gotta say, this Fallen team is looking like Final Four. They're at the top of the leaderboard for a reason. YJK, a single remaining player on the map. There's really no use going back. I guess the only use for going back for your... Actually, I can't think of a single good one. You go back for your teammates right now, you're just burning time for no reason. They've already got what's in their safe boxes. Their bodies have been looted. You just got to play spoiler here. Go for the kills. It's 300k per. MandelBrick Addiction have the power position technically. All 3 alive, closest to the extraction point. But they're not on it currently. A minute 20. Match clock, top middle, is for the map to end. On the left side near the minimap, a minute 15. That top timer is the one you got to keep your eyes on. That's the extraction point. Legérance have 2 to play with.
Oh, the patience. I think we just wait until the very end and you just run on out there. At least Nox on Stinger has smoke to play with, right? You throw it down, you run up to the extraction point, you get out with what you can. Plenty of time.
Forget about Fallen, though. They're getting punished. YJK, this solo is crushing it. Yaku making the most of a bad situation. Loses teammates, but is picking up kill after kill as an individual. 35 seconds on the clock.
And I'm okay with that. Look, every person that you cut down gets you that much closer. You still have the chance to contend for a MandelBrick in match number 6, so get your asset value up through whatever means necessary. For Fallen now, still only 2 players remaining. They had a nice 3 kills thus far, but we've got to see. Can we get on out? Do we run? But it's going to be a member of LGDT that's trying very hardly to cut them down. Everyone free falling. Smokes down, smokes out. 3 seconds to go. Can we get out with our lives?
MandelBrick Addiction, they lose 1, but they get 2 out. A nice map for them, and I believe they're the only 2 to get out via that extraction, and now it's just going to be a bloodbath. We need these kills for some extra loot value going into the final map of the day. We were going to be playing 6 and 6 only today. There will not be another round after it, and these final kills could matter as LGTDT finally get a kill on Fallen. Abbreviation's not my strong suit, but a nice kill. Certainly the strong suit of this team. When they've got a high ground, they shoot straight. And they're picking up a couple kills on main.
Well, you got Flare Edge that's over there towards the right, taking angles. But YJK, what is this? My guy has made it his personal mission to absolutely punish every single player left in the lobby. 1 HP and a dream. It's still taking people down.
How?
Next challenger, it connects. Look at that, just whittling on down. Can he make this one go through? No, he just needed to be breathed on before he fell, but he did enough and bring it on back. LGDT sends 1 player out through an extract, 2 players for MandelBrick Addictions, plus a MandelBrick secured for them. That is going to shoot them straight up the leaderboard. My only thing is, what does it look like considering we had 2 teams at the top with a MandelBrick north of 20 mil going into this?
We don't give out map MVPs, but Yaku's my map MVP. Yes. Goj MVP is Yaku for team in the purple. Good grief, YJK. We're in a blender that map. And then all of a sudden, Yaku by himself goes absolutely insane. You saw the crazy last push. I hope it's in the replay package. As he's pushing up the stairs, he gets shot at by Fallen, taking him down to 3 HP. He dodges all bullets from one of the last remaining players of Legérance, wipes that player even still, didn't even need anything going into that fight. Likely armor was cracked, had 3 HP. It was GG, and he made it another 300k to his name. That was disgusting. But of course, reminder, MandelBrick addiction. I know it feels like so long ago. They did get a MandelBrick in that map. They are living up to their name. They're addicted to the MandelBricks, and they finally get one. Hopefully it'll satiate them for a bit. As we go into our final map of the day here shortly, let's look back on our penultimate map. As this YJK's team, they had been slaying out all day today, but it was MandelBrick addiction. This time, fortune favoring the bold. They change up the decoding station and it works out for them, as unfortunately Perry just in an utter blender this map.
Yeah, you say it right there, and that's the moment where we see the crazy angle to take down two of them, and immediately they start contending with other players through the incendiaries, and you think that Sky there is going to be able to take that player down, but no, it's Ravioli who gets them and takes them down. The great escape, though, is yet to come, which I thought was possibly one of the best plays of this game, aside from Yaku, of course.
Yeah, no, there's some really good fights here. Looking back, obviously Fallen playing spoiler. This is where they pick up 2/3 of this YJK team, and I thought they were going to wipe them all. Durance came in late and actually get punished because of the first angle that they get picked up on. We do see MandelBrick addiction. They get out with 2 players, a nice boon for them, considering this was a MandelBrick round for them. And that's Vlad up on high. Look at this fight right here. Loses all of his health, all of his plates, and I think he just catches Vlad potentially either reloading. I don't know what happened, but either way, does it with 3 HP and almost gets Fleric as well, who's been one of the top slayers today as well. So really impressed with all of our teams today. Really impressed with that last map, but job's not done. We're going to be moving into game 6, Tiff, with 3 teams with a MandelBrick. Whoever gets this MandelBrick could potentially be the winner. By having 2 MandelBricks, we could see 4 teams on MandelBricks, or we could see no one get a MandelBrick this round, and it'll come down to total assets. There's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of conversations to be had. Let's get some water. Let's take a break here in the booth. When we come back, the last map of the day, folks. 2 teams going to China. 2 teams going to be playing for $500,000 on LAN against 7 other regions all across the globe. It ends right here in just a moment for Europe. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Some fear the storm. Others stand aside. But I choose to become the storm.
Warning, liquid nitrogen fill complete.
back. The Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers. These are EU Regional Finals. The top 6 teams from Europe have made it to today, and we're about to go into the final map of the day. Tiff, the stakes couldn't be higher. You excited for this last map?
I'm so ready. Look, this could not be a more perfect situation, at least for us. For our players that are in the lobby, this is going to be one of the scariest games of your entire Delta Force career, so you've got to lock it in.
Well, let's lock it in and take a look at the leaderboard and set the stakes. Top 2 make land. We'll walk through it all again before we get into the game, but this is where we're at. This is from the last match. This is just match 5. Again, MandelBrick Addiction finally came online. Pick up the MandelBrick and the biggest map. 4.6 in total loot value will help them start closing the gap on the other teams that do have a MandelBrick already. Later on, it's 1.5. The rest of these numbers really don't matter all that much. These are minute numbers in the grand scheme of things, but even still, a brutal map for everyone besides MandelBrick Addiction, frankly. We were able to get that MandelBrick and join the top spots. This is unbelievable. The competition couldn't be closer. Here's a look at the overall leaderboard. And Tiff, let's break down how this works. Literally, almost couldn't be closer for the 2 teams at the top, jockeying for top position. We have 3 teams with a MandelBrick, 3 teams without a MandelBrick. Top 3 teams with a MandelBrick will be the top 3 no matter what their loot values are. However, inside the top 3, those teams will be ranked via their loot values. So you're going to see the top 3 ranked accordingly and the bottom 3 ranked accordingly. See that on your screen right now. Perry, of course, in 4th as the top loot overall with non-MandelBrick teams. The stakes, though, are that the top 2 are making it to land in China to play for $500,000 in the Delta Force Invitational, which is essentially Worlds. 8 regions, 12 teams. It's going to be insane. You got to be top 2, though. So the stakes right now are this. MandelBrick Addiction has to get another MandelBrick if they want to make it, or they need to prevent Lagerance and Fallen from getting a second MandelBrick and pick up like 14 million in loot value. That's what they have to do. This is a tall task ahead of them, but they're at least within striking distance. If you're somebody like Perry, you got to pick up the MandelBrick and a crazy amount of loot as well. We got to start wiping teams at the bottom of the leaderboard. You got to go absolutely pedal to the metal, fly at your opponents. Woo, this is going to be nuts. All right. Again, as a reminder, it's Space City all day for the last couple maps. MandelBrick back on. Last map of the day, no matter what. Yes, a team can end the tournament if they get 2 MandelBricks, but we are playing a maximum of 6, and we've made it to Game 6, Tiff.
It's going to end here no matter what happens. So if you are Fallen, you are Lagerance and Lites, what you bring into this match, you need to calculate accordingly to say, I cannot fall out of the top 2. I cannot afford to lose a ton of loot value, because if you're MandelBrick Addiction, your job, like you said, you've already outlined it. You either need to get that MandelBrick to secure your spot at the top, or you have to find a ton. And right now, when you see the operators that you've got left on the table to make that happen, look what they kept in their back pocket, though. A Viren is available for them, but Luna's completely off the table for all of our teams. Fallen and Perry, and even No Game No Life, they do still have a Hat Claw that will be available to them. A couple of teams still not really loving the whole Nox thing. Typically, he's going to be the operator that a lot of our teams just decide to not even play. So who is going to make a play for the MandelBrick? Because that is all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I mean, the minutia of operator comps at this point are not thrown to the wind. I don't know if Lagerance just doesn't like Siniva or if they're saving him for the last round. You could see, I mean, if I am playing this map, I'm not the best player in the world. I'd say that I'm pretty solid, definitely above average. I'm running 2 Sinivas for the last round of the day, right? I mean, you're able to hold angles. You've got a ton of cover you can play with. You can play information gathering out in the lane. You could grapple gun somebody and pull them in. I don't know. I'm really curious to see what Lagerance is doing. They got the first brick, and then they've just bided their time since then. Technically top 2 with Fallen. Who knows what they've got in their back pocket. But definitely, we'll see some folks maybe use Nox. Not definitely. We have a couple other operators you can use, but we are running out of choices as we get in to our final map of the day. Here we go, Tiff. I am so excited.
It is the one match that is separating our teams from going to land to compete for $500,000, Ghosh, to compete against 8 different regions that are going to be represented, to be able to call yourself one of the best teams in Delta Force. And this is the only match separating.
If you see a team get wiped and they're not a top 3 team, they will not be making land. There are no second chances. There are no maps left. There is nothing else you can do. One game of Delta Force could dictate whether you get a life-changing opportunity or have to watch from the sidelines and try again next year. Quick look at the spawns, though. Ledgerants, left side of your map, playing around Dormitory with YJK, a top slaying team today. You gotta watch out for that squad, absolutely. Gonna play nice and slow to start. On the right-hand side, though, no game, no life. Nothing to lose either. They're gonna come swinging in and immediately see Fallen. Notice that they're there and potentially either play for this fight or just try to get to Central Command. I'm not sure exactly what they want to do, but plenty of time still left on the clock.
Dare I say, again, very nervous at what is happening and what is at stake here. NGNL has to play to the craziest level of perfection, right? Craziest level.
Yeah, perfection is absolutely needed for these teams. You can see Fallen is playing nice and slow here on the northeastern side of the map. They've absolutely spotted no game, no life. Make sure they don't give away a nice, powerful position on the northern side of the assembly room.
Ooh, okay. I imagine this match is going to go really, really slow. And if this is what they're going to do, right? They're going to sit here, they're going to focus on up, and just play for any engagements. But it's not slow over here. Yaku, the hero of match number 5 for YJK, is going to be the first one to fall here, and it's going to open the door for LGDT to get absolutely mixy. So they just keep on with the angles here. It's going to be Nox and Zap kind of throwing down, but guess who goes down in the process? Zap gets picked on up. The trade's coming on through. I'm scared for this. A 2v1. And if I'm the last member of YJK, you cannot go down here. You have to back on up. Try for the preserve.
A huge take from them. Be able to wipe 2 members of YJK. This time, a different solo gonna have to go insane to keep their dreams alive on this map. They've had a couple great rounds, but they haven't had a round big enough to make a huge difference on the leaderboard. Jack gonna peek the angle and wins the gunfight. Down goes Vlad. It's gonna be a 2v1 now as he does get the full as well.
The enemy got the MandelBrick. Find and stop them.
MandelBrick in hand, and look who picks it up. They understand immediately that they have to be the ones that get the decode. If they want to go to LAN, this is the only chance that they have.
And they're going to immediately throw it into a decoding station. This time, and look, I am not a naysayer, all right? I am not one that talks bad about teams. We'll get to it in a moment because there's a huge fight on our hands right now. No game, no life out of here. YJK also out of here. Perry turning the tides in their favor. Finally, it's about dang time. 4 teams on the map. We will not be seeing no game, no life on LAN. We will not be seeing YJK on LAN down to 4 teams. And Tiff, to finish my point, I'm not a naysayer, but for some reason, MandelBrick Addiction chose the spot that they lost at, not the spot that they won at just a moment ago. But MandelBrick Addiction will win this tournament if no one contests them in the middle of the map.
They're going to play it to perfection on the time. You can see that Legerons and Lattes, who had that spawn over towards Dormitory Building, are going to be lurking around the west gate. That's going to be the closest opportunity for them to get over towards the centrifuge area. We do have that kind of outer hallway, but look at how they've situated. They're not going to play from the interior of the building. You do have Skydee that's going to have that angle on the outside. This is a very different setup than how we saw Fallen go ahead and guard this back in match number 4. Perry, though, fresh off that first initial engagement, are going to be sprinting, looking for an opportunity. But when you have Skydie holding this angle, how many times have we seen players kind of thread through the underneath of the truck to make sure that no one can push from there?
A huge opportunity. There was plenty of time once you start the decode. Everybody gets a flag, by the way, that a team that already has a MandelBrick is the one decoding it. Match point team, if you will. So everybody knows it's one of the 3 squads, and already MandelBrick Addiction has found an angle onto Stickinson, who gets punished. Only into red timer, but right now, every piece of resource they have getting chucked out. Alito almost out, but is able to stay on his feet for now. The Starbaxter and Co are just holding this angle to make sure we don't get thirsted. We'll go for the revive when it's safe. This is a clutch or kick moment for Paris. One of the only teams left on the map that doesn't... Actually, the only team left on the map that doesn't have a MandelBrick.
Oh, I don't think we're moving quick enough, Goj. I'm not gonna lie. I know we're being cautious here. I know we're trying to kind of suss out all the different players and where they are. And if we're doing it with a D-Wolf, Byron, and Nox, so be it. It has to be Nox. They have to be your hero. That silent assault. The whirlwind disc coming on through, and LGDT working their way up. Prior to this, we had Skydie that was holding the angle. He went ahead, retreated into the building, similar to the playstyle we saw Fallen recreate in match number 4. They're not going to fall for the trick. But with just under a minute left, they know if they want to truly advance on, that they have to be the ones to hit the decode.
Gotta do it. Skydie was holding the angle. He gets smoked out of his brains, out of his shorts. So he has to back up. Zap going for it now. Skydie's gonna repeat this. Bolito's holding the other angle. Legérance gets punished for it, but Perry comes to play the third party to pick up a double. Down go 1 member of MandelBrick Addiction. Down go 2 members of Legérance. Down to a solo Perry trying to go for the trade. MandelBrick Addiction's gonna win it right here if somebody doesn't make a move. Stickinson alive, has an off angle, isn't able to get the trade. There's another one in the corner. Finally gets one, but it gets turned and burned. Turned and burned. MandelBrick Addiction. Somehow, some way, they take down all of Perry. They don't shoot first, but they shoot last, and they are going to win this competition by capturing the second MandelBrick. Unbelievable. They know they won. Now it's about punishing their opponents.
It's not even about punishment here. The tough part for Legérance and Latesse, now that MandelBrick Addiction has decoded, they guarantee that slot to China, yes, but then you have Fallen and Legérance and Latesse that are going to contend based on that total loot value because they each have a MandelBrick. And Legérance and Latesse only has 1 player currently upstanding, and he is in the sightline of Fallen.
Are you kidding me? Nox is out of here. Fallen lands the knockdown. Fallen lands the equipment. And Nox is out of this lobby. Legérance gone, dead, with 1 MandelBrick and technically lower in total assets than their opponents. Fallen is still on the map, and Fallen looting means we think we know who is making land. We think we know it's MandelBrick Addiction and Fallen. The only thing that could happen here, the only reason I'm holding my breath, is that if MandelBrick Addiction with 2 players wipes Fallen, and Fallen loses more assets than Legérance lost, we could see Legérance still technically make land. It is that close. Fallen doesn't know that. They don't know the scores. There's a delay. There's no way to learn that information. They just got to play their life, and they still got to clutch or kick. MandelBrick Addiction, they've already done it. Right now, MandelBrick Addiction, they just want to get the kills because why not? There is nothing at stake for them besides wiping their opponents. And right now, they're giving the signal for Fallen to come in and make a play. We're going for the revive, and Fallen's going to come in for the wipe.
This is going to be a big deal if they can make this happen. Nice shots there, but you're going to give up your information. It's Buldo who falls to Flarich. everything that I learned about Fallen last week during the regional semifinals, that they are very scary to fight, and they are proving just how easily they can break down one of the most formidable teams that we've been talking about, who have been showing out in the world scrims. And Fallen, the way they just took them down with ease is insane. That fight alone should have done enough to not only ensure that they don't fall out, they don't lose loot value, and that they should have just taken their ticket to China, hypothetically.
Unreal. What a way to finish out a match that still has 9 minutes on the clock. This is unbelievable. I mean, MandelBrick Addiction were so sleepy the entire tourney. Couldn't get anything going. Get punished left, right, and center. Every which way. Couldn't find anything in the first 4 maps. And then they go back to back with the MandelBrick on Space City, clutch or kick, ice in the veins. And you'll be seeing MandelBrick Addiction on LAN in China in about a month's time. And likely Fallen joining them. Good grief. Yeah, there's our numbers. Total assets on the left. 31.7 million from Fallen. Absolutely reminiscent of what they were able to do in semifinals. Lagerance just played a hair too defensive, I believe. Wow, what a way to finish out this map, Tiff. And frankly, we're going to watch them loot for 8 minutes here because they want to maximize their value. Probably about 4 minutes because they got to make sure they get to an extraction, but they want to maximize their value. I mean, they don't know what we know, right? They don't know that they've done it. They just need to get out of this lobby. It's just a matter of getting to an extraction. They technically don't know that everybody on the map is dead. They can start doing the math with all these boxes, though.
You really can do the best, right? You saw all of these players kind of fighting for the MandelBrick, so to see how many teams were in the mix there, it's a shame that Lagerance and Lattes, they were going for the MandelBrick. They were trying to swipe it, right? It's just unfortunate that they lose 2 players in the corridor, and then Fallen is right there, investing so much utility to make sure that they just wipe everyone. Oh, geez, Fallen have done just the conservative gameplay. I mean, 4 kills, right? And I say conservative, but you've done enough kills that way. You preserve all of your gold. Like, this is just insane. Now what can you find to kind of put the little bow on the entirety of match number 6 for you?
Yeah, I mean, let's take a moment while we have 7 moments for some breakdowns here. Because, I mean, let's take a moment and kind of look back on this tournament and look back on this map in general. Space City really changed everything for these teams. I think the strategies weren't necessarily wrong. It's just a matter of execution. One thing Fallen did so well throughout this course of this tournament. Again, I'm hyping them up. They're the last remaining team on the map. MandelBrick Addiction. We'll talk about them here in a little bit when we announce them as our champions, because they are getting both the bricks. What was so impressive about this Fallen team is their willingness to have trigger discipline, their willingness to play extremely slow together, and then what I can only assume is fantastic comms to be able to play so clean together and swing at the perfect moments to wipe their opponents. This Fallen team, this isn't the first time we've seen them, obviously, in semifinals. Yes, but they played in other competitions as well. I've casted over Pro Rock, it seems like 1,000 times at this point. Over the course of several show matches and for global leagues. But this roster today was unstoppable. Kills category. So many team wipes. And obviously their loot value speaks volumes to that. Over 30 million is insane in the course of 6 maps.
It's just impressive when you really think about what that performance looked like from the semifinals, right? 15 mil total loot value. They did get 2 MandelBricks, but it doesn't matter because as long as they secure the 2nd place and play that long game, that's what you need to do. And to send 1 player out on the extract for that just conditional one, you're really just out here trying to solidify, and now you're going to send 2 players back. This is the exact same strategy that we saw earlier on as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, we could talk about the minutiae of this. You'll see more of this when we get to North America a little bit later today. You know, they don't know that they've done enough, so they're going to send 1 player out with a majority of their loot just to put some points on the board, just in case they run into some opposition. And they did this earlier, right? They did this in the Brakkesh round. They sent 1 player out, left 2 on the map, to maybe play spoiler, run around the map, go for kills. I think they're beginning to realize they are likely the last remaining team here. But want to be safe. Rather safe than sorry, absolutely. I think looking back on this team's performance in general, too, you know, we think back to that Brakkesh map where they're able to do that, where they were able to play spoiler to later on. I mean, the margins may not be that thin now because they have an entire map for 9 minutes. But going into that final gunfight, things could have been different. Laterons could have been ahead of them in total loot value if Fallen wouldn't have played spoiler in that Brakkesh round. If we remember, Laterons actually lost quite a bit on that round. And that's how close these competitions truly are. It may just take one team fight, one trade, Fallen's decision to send one out of the lobby, stay 2 on, pick up a couple in transition, playing third party. I just really impressed with these guys.
Yeah, it was just definitely a roller coaster of a couple different matches, because you think back to that initial Zero Dam where Perry walks out with what, double digits in loot value, and you think, okay, this is a roster that's setting themselves up for success, that's going to be someone that's going to contend for those MandelBricks. But then you go into the first MandelBrick round and you're like, oh my God, they got basically jumped, right off the rip, can't get anything moving, and they answer back even then on that next airdrop round. But for Fallen, they have been one of the most consistent teams, constantly, like you said, making those really integral decisions that have led to their success. It's wild that when you think of the difference from Laterons to Latest compared to Fallen coming through the qualifiers, fighting for every chance that they can get, LGDT coming in from the Delta Force Global League, being the winners of Season 1 and Season 2, and kind of knowing that they're an invited team and doing what they can. It just didn't look anything like what we had seen in the Global League. And I think that's the funnest part, that the Invitational Qualifiers have played out so vastly different.
Gonna send another player out here through the extraction point. And again, just trying to maximize loot value. A strong play for them. And I think, you know, while we have just a couple more minutes, since we're going to be talking about our champions here shortly, Laterons, just heartbroken for them. Delta Force Global League, like you said, champs, Season 1, Season 2. Great guys as well. Definitely worth a shout to their streams. They've been really strong competitors and big proponent of the Delta Force esports ecosystem. Obviously, we'll see them more into the future. They are one of the strongest teams out there, just barely missing the mark today. But a strong team sometimes doesn't always win. The other two teams a bit stronger today. It's about executing on the day that everything is on the line. Both these players now running towards the extraction, going to get out of the map. What a wild day today, Tiff. And again, I just tip my hat to all of our competitors. I mean, Perry, too, could talk about them for a while. Historical team, just couldn't quite get the MandelBrick today. But extracting for these two players means we are done with Game 6, which means we know our champions. May not have talked about them a ton today because they snuck in the final 2 maps and go back-to-back with MandelBricks. MandelBrick Addiction living up to their namesake. Unbelievable job from this trio to secure the MandelBricks when their backs were against the wall. They didn't have the total assets they needed. They needed the MandelBricks, and they got them. You're going to be seeing this team on LAN in China. Unreal competition from them, Tiff.
Not only did they destroy in the regional semifinals from Group B, they came out, and it wasn't the best start for them, right? Things were definitely looking tough. I was seeking it. I was like, hey, you know, maybe the first 3 games just really weren't what MandelBrick Addiction needed. But they came back fighting tooth and nail through the back half of our series. They came alive, and they absolutely burned it down.
Yeah, and, you know, golly, there's so many moments where you say, what if? Let's look back on those maps and say, what if this team would have done this? What if this team would have done that? Nobody would have thought MandelBrick Addiction goes back-to-back in the final 2 maps, picks up both bricks, and knocks out Laterons out of the top 2, knocking them out of contention for LAN. Let's take a look back on the replays from that map. It was absolutely one with a ton of highlights, except all of those highlights were at the beginning of the map because of how hot this thing started. And it started right here. YJK, a team that was a contender, a team that could have played for the brick, immediately gets wiped here by Laterons. It was close, though. They traded to blows, and maybe these yellow timers for Legends actually come back to bite them in later fights. But either way, Perry came alive in this map as well, wiping no game, no life, and getting into the mix against MandelBrick Addiction near the center of the map. Perry's actually the first team to contest them near the MandelBrick, and unfortunately, everybody converged at the same time, and it all went MandelBrick Addiction's way somehow. Look at this. Kaiser has the angle to wipe one on MandelBrick Addiction, forcing them to 2, no, forcing them to 1 because of Legends, but nobody could kill this guy, Yuval. How does he win a 1v2 with 5 HP? Somebody tell me. Yuval goes insane. A clutch or kick moment. That's on the highlight reel. You'll be talking about that forever if you're Yuval. Literally wins the tournament by himself on point in a 1v2 with no health. This fight, it doesn't matter all that much. What does matter is that if Fallen would have gotten wiped there, maybe they don't get second, but Fallen gets out of the map with the most loot. MandelBrick Addiction. Golly, Yuval. I mean, come on. Post that on the socials somewhere. I mean, I'm hyping you up all day. That was unbelievable from him to win the 1v2 with 5 HP, just shooting nukes.
It really was. Honestly, it's very reminiscent of what we saw from Yaku just a map ago, right? Just 1 HP, bouncing around, trying to hold angles and just ripping people down. So he was like, you know what? I think I saw the broadcast. I saw what was happening. No, I'm just totally kidding. But he did take a page out of that book, and it was quite impressive. I love that all of our competitors here today just kind of came into match number 6, understood what they needed to do, and really executed on it to make sure that they could advance on to the Delta Force Invitational LAN in China.
Yeah, really excited about it. $500,000 on the line. We've got 2 teams coming from Europe and doing some final calculations on the scores just to double check everything. We want to rank them accordingly as well, because a reminder, there was some prize pool on the line. I know we were talking about land because that's the big ticket, but there was a ton of cash on the line, and want to make sure that's all tallied up perfectly for the teams near the bottom of the leaderboard, where there were razor thin margins and nearly a couple thousand even exchanging hands, pending where those scores land. So we'll see how that all lines up and get to that here in a moment. And I believe maybe going to do a couple more things before we close today out. But a great day in the office here with Delta Force Esports. Look, I said it at the top of the show. Can we just say that might be the best and most exciting Delta Force Esports we've ever seen? 6 teams earn their spot to this position, playing in our qualifier regional finals. And then we've got our top 2 winning out with razor thin margins, crazy timers. Just nuts. 1v2s, 2 HP. I mean, you literally couldn't ask for a better competition. I loved it today, Tiff.
I did too. Look, it was an absolute blast. We're just getting started, but it's kind of like we're finishing off one story, but their story is just beginning when you look towards what that is going to do for them on the global stage, competing against multiple regions, and really just trying to etch yourself as one of the best trios in Delta Force when it comes to operations. And I just couldn't be more excited. I don't even know what's going to happen for NA later down the line today.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that in here in a little bit. Yes, we're booking 2 tickets to land here for our Europe region, but 2 more tickets to North America here in a little while. And of course, there's 8 regions in total represented, and they're all running their own qualifiers, their own regional finals all over the place. So I'm sure we'll get a read on all of those tickets later down the road before the LAN in about a month's time. That's going to be in China in September on LAN. Unbelievable. $500,000 on the line. The first kind of world championship, if you will, for the Delta Force Invitational for Delta Force ever. Gonna be a blast. Really excited about that one. We'll get you more info as needed, but I believe it's already been posted about on socials. So make sure, while we have a moment, go drop a follow on all Delta Force official socials. I see a lot of you in the chat. I watch you watching these competitions, criticizing players, thinking I could do it better. These were open qualifiers, folks. You might have missed out because you weren't paying attention to socials. Go drop a follow. Delta Force is on every single social media you could possibly think of, including fandoms where you can learn how to play the game, frankly, by reading all the wikis and everything in between. The Discord is a massive place that you should get involved in. There's a ton, 500,000+ people in that Discord. You can learn more about the game, find players to play with, maybe find your future esports teammates over there. So go join the Discord as well. All those links are down below if you're on YouTube, and the moderators can help you out here on Twitch. I believe there's panels for you to join those as well. If you just scroll down on Twitch, we can get you all linked up and ready to go, so you can drop a follow on socials. Delta Force also has an official esports Twitter, or X rather, so make sure you go follow that as well. But I believe our score is almost ready to go, and I believe we might be having a conversation with one member of the MandelBrick Addiction team. Excited to talk to whoever that ends up being. getting them all ready to rock and roll. To recap the day, though, Tiff, one more time and take a look back on what's happened today while we wait on those things. I know our admins are working really hard behind the scenes because I think it's very, very close for a couple of the teams down the leaderboard. Let's take a look back on the overall competition. I mean, this was a rigorous competition, right? We had open qualifiers, semifinals, and then into finals. And you casted all the semifinals. I mean, talk to me just kind of about this process and I'm sure how difficult it was for some of these teams to even make it here today.
Yeah, it was really tough. We saw kind of some interesting action, and I will say that EU provided a ton of interesting changes of hands. Anytime you got that MandelBrick, you got it over to a decoding station, it seemed like everyone was completely flying at it, trying to make something happen. Like I did mention, we did see a lot of dormitory building when it came to Space City, a lot of teams focusing on that area in particular. Of course, we did see some people go over to the Black Chamber, and they thought that was going to be more preferential for them. But when you kind of got into the regional finals, when we are that much closer to securing your tickets to the Invitational on land, right? We really slowed our pace. And I think people were coming in just trying to gear up how our team's going to be playing. And the next thing you know, we're 3 matches in and you're like, oh my God, this has got completely out of hand. I don't have enough asset value to make a stand. I'm going to have to start getting those MandelBricks. And it really amped up the pace. But I thought it was a lot more conservative off the rip here in the regional finals.
Yeah, people playing for land spots, but I believe our leaderboard's ready. I'm itching. I'm ready to get into it. Let's take a look at it and see who earned a bit of cash today. And obviously, confirming our top 2, I am assuming we are right. Here's the confirmation. Yes, MandelBrick Addiction lost some total assets, but they are the top team today. They got a MandelBrick in this last map. You can see it there on your screen. This is just match 6 leaderboard. And obviously 9.9 million from that last map. Fallen did everything they needed to secure second place. Here's a look at the overall leaderboard. Extremely well done from these teams. Unbelievable stat line, by the way. 34.8 million, almost 0.9 million there for Fallen with a MandelBrick to their name. A frankly dominant performance from them, albeit MandelBrick Addiction the top team today because of our double brick format. Congrats to our top 2 teams, Tiff, MandelBrick Addiction, and Fallen, headed to LAN in China.
That is so impressive. Congratulations on securing those tickets. I can't wait to see what you do here because the storylines just keep writing themselves. If you're going to have the top team through the semifinals last week from not only Group A, but also Group B advancing on. They worked for it, they earned it, because something about everything must be earned, nothing is given, and they truly live up to that. They get to advance on to that Delta Force Invitational next month in China, $500,000. Sure, you've proved that you are the best teams that can represent EU, but can you be the best in the world?
Can you be the best in the world? A great question for these top 2 teams. $500,000 on the line, 12 teams from 8 regions. You're not going to want to miss it. You'll learn more on socials and everywhere in between. Really pumped about this one. But we got to take a look at our pricing from this competition because this is a big one as well. Some extra cash exchanging hands. And, well, for the sake of getting Les Durants and some extra cash today, they did get 3rd place. And they do earn a bit more than their opposition. $1,000 to their name, $333 apiece per player to reach that $1,000 total. Perry, YJK, No Game, No Life. A great competition as well. You earned your spot in the finals and therefore walking away with $500 each, Tiff.
That's so worth it, right? It's a consolation, but at least you're in the cash. You're still getting money. You're still learning, right? And I think that is the most important part. But for those that not only get $4,000 and a ticket to LAN, or Ballin with $3,000 and a ticket to LAN, look, I'm excited. And that's only happening in a month's time. I'm ready.
Well, I'm extremely excited for the next piece, but before we close, we've got Yuval from MandelBrick Addiction. Just won the whole competition. Yuval, my man, welcome to the booth. How are you feeling? You just won it all.
Hi, guys. I feel very happy.
I can only imagine, man. You crushed it. Talk to me about that final fight, the final moment on the decoding station, winning that 1v2.
I just saw the smoke and understood it's time to take all in my hands. and just go and shoot. That's all what happens.
You were shooting straight, Tiff. He was shooting straight.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious though. Now you're going to LAN. You get to compete on the global stage in China for $500,000. How are you going to prepare with your team to compete at that stage?
I think we did a lot and prepared very well for these finals, and we will just play and practice our strategies and communication with each other. I think we did it already well.
Yeah, I mean, your preparation for this competition paid off. I was told, I asked the Scrims Discord, I said, who's winning the most Scrims? They said it was you, and apparently they were right because you're able to do it again. Final question from me, Yuval, is pretty simple. I think, talk to me about the number one thing, a key to success, the number one thing that made your team successful today in the competition.
Just good communication with each other and no fear. Just do it.
No fear, just do it. I love it. Communication, absolutely key. Yuval, thank you so much. Thanks for popping in with us. It's great to hear from you. I'd like to give you the floor. Shout out your team, your community. Feel free to speak in your native language as well for some quick shout outs before we close this thing out.
Да, спасибо всем, кто болел. Скит сделал очень много до нашей победы и был тоже красавчик. Будем стараться дальше. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Yuval. You're the man. Crazy clutch moments, ice in the veins, and congratulations on a huge, huge win. Appreciate you popping in.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was Yuval, MandelBrick Addiction. Another great interview, by the way. Unreal that they were to clutch it up. And as expected, communication, the key to success.
You know, if you're going to communicate one thing and one thing only, it's no fear. And I think that just goes to show you the confidence that they came in with. And having that no fear is going to be so important, especially if those first couple matches are just not going your way. A couple minor mistakes, you tightened them up, you win those fights, and you just go the distance. You get those MandelBricks in back-to-back matches in 5 and 6 when they matter the most. You have no other things that are left on the table aside from just executing, and they did that. So I think it's impressive. Good to hear that they locked it in. Absolute no fear.
No fear, great communication. MandelBrick Addiction, your winners today. And unfortunately, that brings us to the worst part of the broadcast where we have to close things out, at least for now. Tiff, I'm going to be seeing you a little bit later from now, but any other final words for the broadcast before we close out European region?
I just hope North American's ready. Like, you've got to be able to lock it in. Things are going to get messy. It's going to go the distance, and you just have to play to perfection. Get yourself 2 MandelBricks if you want to secure your ticket to China, because if not, you've got to loot your heart out. Find those inner loot goblins, win your fights, do your best. I don't know, have fun with it as well.
Well, really excited about North America. This will close out the European region. Thank you so much, Tiff, for joining me. I will see you in a couple hours' time. A great cast from you, as always. Folks at home, just between you and me, it's just you and me right now here in the booth. You're not going to want to miss North America. Our European regional finals, you thought they were a banger. North America is going to be even crazier. Promise you that, okay? Get ready. 2 more teams going to land North America, trying to battle for a spot for $500,000 at a chance to play at the Delta Force Invitational here in just a month's time. You're not going to want to miss it. We are going to be live at 5 p.m. Pacific time, the same time we usually are for North America. 5 p.m. Pacific, live right here, same place, for the same competition, this time in North America, for 2 teams to go to finals. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. As per the usual, we couldn't do it without you, the viewer. So thanks for playing Delta Force. Thanks for watching this broadcast, and I'll see you in just a couple hours.
Insane fighting prowess they had in the semis, right? Like 15, and they're just getting
pretty good chance. Durance has an angle looking over the top of it. Nice shot. Straight out 2. Zap goes huge, taking down 2 players from Perry.
Those MandelBricks.
Unbelievable. We've got more fights happening right now. Saniva grappling people in. To wipe this team that just got the MandelBrick.
Well, imagine you get the MandelBrick decoded, and next thing you know, you can extract.
Is rushing it right now with a chance of the 1v3. Having to hold on or run away. Either way, you're not going to run away from a Suniva. Down you go. Wiped out of this. Unfortunately, isn't able to get both. Nice trade from the off-angle Stickinson. Perfect setup. Other tournaments won those tournaments. Here's a quick look at another fight, though. Fallen found an angle, and they found a knock today. Able to find 2 kills, looking for the third. There's a top angle flip. This is what Fallen wanted. We called it. It's exactly what they wanted to play from. Right now, Nox about to place. Are you kidding me? There's no way to the lobby if they win this 2v1.
Something about Perry and a MandelBrick round just cannot.
No game, no life, unfortunately, out of this lobby. And unfortunately, Fallen comes in to play cleanup, though. Maybe just tag the wall behind them. They've got a lot.
Luna action. We're going to send some of their Volt arrows and some shoulder peaks. They're connecting, but it's Pika peek together. Give you the power of the numbers. Going through.
We'll be playing 6 and 6 only today. There will not be another round after it. And these finals.
That's over there towards the right. Taking angles. But YJ connects. Look at that. Just whittling on down. Can he make this one go through? No. For any engagement. But
they haven't had a round big enough to make a huge difference on the leaderboard. Jack gonna peek the angle and win, right? I am not one that talks bad about teams. We'll get to it in a moment because there's a huge fight on hand out of his shorts. So he has to back up. Zap going for it now. Scotty's gonna repeat this bleeder. MandelBrick Addiction's gonna win it right here if somebody doesn't make a move. Stickinson alive, has an off angle, isn't able to get the trade. There's another one in the corner. Finally gets one, but it gets turned and burned. And they are going to win this competition by capturing the second MandelBrick. Unbelievable. They know they